Sarah. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. Your hair's gotten so long.
I know. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks pretty.
Hey, I was going to do something fancy today, but I didn't get to it.
Yeah. um, so I do you have someone with you today for the chat? You don't.
Nope.
Okay. So Tim and I will help out as much as we can.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna put us on Facebook and we'll just go from there. So we'll support you, whatever you need.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
What time do you guys usually take a break?
So anywhere people start getting squirrely around 10:30, anywhere from 10:30 to 11. So, anywhere in there, we usually do 5 or 10 minutes. If we don't, people will private message me in the chat, like, are we taking a break? You know, I love that people they don't want to miss anything, right? So they just it's even we tell them every time, like, if you need to take a break, but nobody wants to, they don't want to miss anything. So
I love
yeah,
it.
it's great, the content is so engaging, but we do have to remember to give them a break around 10:30
Okay.
or so. Yeah, sometimes I think by 10:45 I definitely will have private messages like, I need a minute. So
Like, Aaron, come on.
yeah. They'll message me in the chat. Are we taking a break? And I'm like, if you need to go do something, just go do it. Like, all right. While we're waiting for people to come in, I'm just gonna. Are you a co-host in here?
I
All right,
don't.
let me add you as a co-host. I can. Hey, Gary.
That works better.
How-
Hi, everybody. I'm just watching to see how you guys start the session so I'm not so lost tomorrow.
You're gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome.
And I also need to ask you if you know anybody in Rhode Island. I need to find an agent in Rhode Island for a client of mine who is now buying in Rhode Island instead of here.
Where in Rhode Island?
Well, that's what they said. They don't really care. They're looking all over. They're excellent clients. They spend lots of money. They buy lots of houses, and now they need to buy something in Rhode Island because they don't want to live in Mass anymore.
So, well, Renee Welchman has listed my my in-laws house actually right now in Rhode Island.
What town? They sent me a
She's
list.
in Little Compton. So she's right in Little Compton though. And then the other person to check with is Jen. Jen Bovey would have people too.
Okay, yeah, they sent me a list of towns that they would look in. I sold them a house up here, told them not to buy it. They bought it. It was way too big. We sold it. Now they're renting until they find something, but they're gonna buy down there.
Yeah, so that's why I asked where. I don't know if she goes too far outside of Little Compton, but but they've been really happy with her, and I mean, I know her personally and I like her a lot too. So she has a mega agent office right in Little Compton.
Greenwich, North Kingston, and Jamestown are the places they prefer.
All right. Well, I don't know if Jen. Yeah, I would definitely.
I'll reach out to her.
Yeah, I would email Jen because she'll probably have a better connection.
It's funny when clients don't listen to you, and then they're after the fact like, "Yeah, we shouldn't have bought this house." I'm like, "Yeah, it's your first house. You don't need a 5,000 square foot house as your first house."
Yeah. It's a lot of house. I think I might regret it. Yeah.
No, you have to furnish it and clean it.
Yeah.
Well, so what was funny was they never furnished it. They lived in there for about a year. I had to have it staged to sell it again, and then they wound up buying the furniture from the stager after the fact.
Wow.
Yeah, it was my biggest sale over and over. The same house twice.
That's funny. All right, I'm just gonna go freshen up my coffee. I'll be right back.
Gary, where are you out of?
Framingham, Metro West.
Oh, I'm up in Andover.
Okay.
Not too
Yeah,
far.
I also worked in the Westboro office for a little while. And before that, I worked in the Charlotte, North Carolina office, which is where I came from.
I started off in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. And then I was in Topsfield, Newburyport, Beverly, and Reading as a coach. And now I am here in Andover.
Well, it's very funny is every time I see your picture on some of these things that we do, my son's friend's mom is named Sarah Heidel. And you guys look so similar. And I always have to do a double take.
You're like, wait, which one? One of my, are you from, well, one of my college best friends is from Framingham. Actually, a couple of them, Natick, Framingham, and Acton.
I live in Westboro. We've been here for 6 years. Going on 7 now. Wow. It's just flying by.
Oh, right.
But yeah, we're actually the biggest Keller Williams, well, in Charlotte, the biggest Keller Williams office in the world.
Wow.
It's the #1 office. Yeah. In Charlotte, it's crazy. Ballantyne. The Ballantyne
I was going to
office.
say, because I know a lot of people in the Fort Mill office and the Charlotte office, but I never can remember who's in which. So.
Right. And Ballantyne is right between Fort Mill and Charlotte.
Yep. I used to work down there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We lived just south of Uptown. We couldn't call it downtown. It was just south of Uptown.
Yeah, it's called Uptown. Yeah, I know. It took a while to get used to. We're from Myers Park, if you know where Myers Park is, off of Queens Avenue.
We lived in Eastover Ridge. It was right next to the Mint Museum.
I've been there a bunch of times.
We went from Manhattan to Charlotte in 1990. Why? I can't say. Never mind. I don't want to date myself.
We went from Fort Lauderdale to Charlotte, and we just kept moving further north, and now we're here.
I bet you like today.
Oh my gosh, it's so cold. It's so cold.
14 feels like -2. That's what it was when I left my house.
Yeah, I normally am in the office before 8, and I just could not get out of bed. It was way too cold.
I know. I was like, I could stay here longer, but I'm teaching Ignite, so I can't.
I got my kids to get up. I'm like, okay, who wants to start my car? Come on, who's starting Daddy's car? Get in there.
Mine would be like, no. I have teenage boys. They'd say no.
Yeah, I have 2 teenage boys also. How old are yours?
14 and 17.
I have 17 and 18. Fun, isn't it?
Yeah, we're getting ready for graduation this year.
Yeah. We just he just chose a college, so now we get to play with all that fun stuff.
Oh, where's he going?
He's going to go to Hudson University in Bangor, Maine.
Oh, ours is going to Savannah College of Art and Design.
My niece went there. SCAD.
Yeah.
We
So
should
yeah,
talk.
we should talk. We could help each other out with financial aid things.
Yeah, hold on, just hold on. That's all you could do. SCAD's was my brother. I remember my brother talking about it and just whimpering.
Yep.
But yeah, we should talk sometime. My niece has done quite well after graduating from there.
Okay.
So it looks like it's just about 9 o'clock. I'm going to put us live on Facebook.
All right, I'll share my screen then.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, hi, everybody. We are going to be talking about marketing today. Isn't that exciting? So today we're going to focus on lead generation for buyers and sellers, and under running our business, marketing seller listings. So I know that previously, especially in Spark, you've been working a lot with the lead generation model, and marketing is going to be the tool that enhances that.
All right.
Okay. So if you're door knocking around an open house and you leave a piece of marketing material behind, those homeowners who didn't answer or those who weren't home can use that marketing material as a follow-up. And you can follow up with them and ask them if they've received it. It's another way that you can support your lead gen. So I don't know if you've heard this before, we're going to talk about this today, but you want your business to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So I think you guys probably spoke about that Friday under prospecting. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay. So again, we're going to talk about marketing versus prospecting. We're going to think deeply about marketing, right? We're going to talk about different elements of our pieces when we're marketing. We're going to take action, creating and posting marketing materials in Command. We're going to have some recap and talk about daily success habits. Okay, so here we go with our prospecting enhanced and marketing, prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So marketing is money intensive, right? It's going to cost you. It is passive, right? It's kind of easy in a way because of the fact that it's passive, because we just sit back and wait for people to come to us. You're going to get long-term results, meaning it's not going to be immediate, right? It's going to happen over time, but you're building that mind share and you're going to find the results show up later. Prospecting, on the other hand, is time intensive, proactive, because you're going out there and getting the business, and you get much more immediate results. So the question to consider, what are some examples of marketing that you guys have seen or become familiar with? So anybody want to share anything?
Facebook ads.
Yep.
Postcards.
Yep.
Well, one of Keller Williams' agents sent out postcards to everybody on my street.
There you go.
Jealous it wasn't me.
Anybody else? I can tell you, when I was on a team, we used to put, well, we did two different things, but we had the grocery carts, had our pictures on them. It was great. I'd get a lot of text messages that people were shopping with me. And we also used to do those video ads that at the time they were in the checkout line in one grocery store, or they were up at the front. All of that is marketing, right? That's money that you're paying out. You're not directly talking to anyone. You're kind of hoping that they're going to respond to you. So when we think deeply about marketing, right, we have to think about what are the things that we are willing to do. So you probably saw this little graph on Friday. The whole left side is prospecting, the right side is marketing, and in the middle are things that kind of cross over to be both. And I believe that this is in your guide as well. You can look at this graph here. Oh, and I can see Jennifer Ray's writing in, leaving cards on a bulletin board in stores, salons, workplaces. Absolutely. I will tell you, I did get into a friend of mine in my office. Whenever we went to the pizza joint, she would put her card over my card on the bulletin board. And then when I'd go and I'd put my card over her card, and we used to crack up about it. It was fun. I wouldn't do that with someone you didn't know because that might not be looked upon very well. Okay. When you look at this list of marketing, I want you to write down at least 3 things in your participant guide that are things that you are most likely to do or that you want to do. So if you could just look through this list and spend a second and just write out at least 3 things. So these are all ways that you can share your marketing message. So what I'd like is for you guys to just give me some idea of what are the three or five or however many that you've chosen. And secondly, if you've already tried any of these.
Postcard campaigns are very effective in my area, second homes.
Absolutely.
I did the social media. It wasn't as effective as I hoped it would be.
Well, I have some theories on that. Again, marketing is not necessarily as immediate as we want it to be. And I've noticed, at least in my office, that agents get discouraged when they don't get that immediate response. And when they keep up on it and they follow up with the people that they get from those social ads, they're shocked that within, whether it's 3 months, 5 months, they are getting a response back from those people from the original posts.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, so if you
What is
haven't,
the- I'm sorry. What does that mean, meals under prospecting?
well, so you could look at meals as basically you're taking people out, right? You're taking people out to for coffee. You're taking them out for a meal. But let's focus more on the marketing side for today. Have you ever gotten a just listed or just sold card in your mailbox?
Yes.
Just one more person. What are things that you are willing to do?
Postcards look great. I mean, that's an easy way to reach out, and no one's going to tell you no to your face if you do it. That's kind of nice.
Well, I had someone. It was in our town Facebook group, who was asking. That she has it's a cabinetry business, and she was asking, is it worth sending out postcards? And I responded and said, well, what is your goal for the postcard? The reason that I say that is that I don't have a postcard in front of me, but most people are going to look at your postcard and probably throw it out. Most people. But in that time, when they do that, they're going to say, oh, look, Bill Barbin, we've got a second home here, a vacation home. Oh, that's really cool. Huh. Okay. And then they'll throw it out. But guess what's happened in there? Bill Barbin's gotten in there. And then the next month or however long, and they get another one and they go, wow, Bill Barbin, he does a huge business. Look at that. Huh. Okay, cool. And the problem is that when we get discouraged with that and we stop, that's probably when someone's going to need you. It's that constant top of mind. When we look at the middle between prospecting and marketing, and we get this column that's called both, right? We talk about farming. So geographic farming, that would be like postcards. You have a neighborhood, right? Like someone had said that they had someone sending postcards out on their street. They have a neighborhood that they are constantly farming to. They're sending postcards or dropping something off, or maybe market reports of the area. Demographic farming, that would be like your Facebook ad, right? You're going in and you're saying, it could be both actually. You're saying you want people within a certain radius of a street or a town. You're saying you want people who like basket weaving and horses. You're saying you want people who are interested in lending or whatever their interests are that your social ad's about. So those can go both ways. You could also look at a demographic like first-time home buyers, right? That might be a demographic that you're going to farm to. When you look at events, right? Open houses, seminars, contests, client appreciation events, those are things you're going to prospect to. You're going to be calling people and telling them about it, but you could also market it, right? What if you did a Facebook ad that was about a first-time home buyer seminar that you're doing? And then you have the follow-up. You could have a smart plan that's following up on that. And then you still are going to be reaching out and calling people and saying, hey, I thought you might be interested in this. Networking, again, people that you know, your sphere, your past clients, your allied resources, and different agents. Who are you networking with, right? And then if you're going to do it, some people do purchase things through referral networks and advertising networks. So what you want to do is get in front of people as many ways as you can to build that mind share. And that's why when we look at prospecting versus marketing, prospecting is usually free or free-ish, right? We might be sending out some things with prospecting that it's going to cost some money for postage, et cetera. And marketing is going to enhance that, right? If we focused 100% on marketing and everything that we were doing was constantly paying for it, paying for an ad, paying for postage, paying for printing, paying, it's going to take longer for those to turn around. Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually marketing is 50-to-1 ratio. For every 50 people, you should get one piece of business or one referral. And prospecting, it's, I believe the latest is 20-to-1. So, you know, your chances of reaching people and getting a response when you're prospecting is significantly higher.
Well, and it's also the incubation period time, you know, so it's all the opportunities, it's that consistency over time, the
Yeah.
repetition of it, right? And, you know, if you think about, you know, almost like paving a road, it's a little bit at a time, right? So you just have to keep doing it. And most of us quit before it actually takes hold, like right before it takes hold.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, my question to you guys is, how do you think it's best to approach it? Right? Do you think that trying several things at once or focusing on one, or what is your feeling so far?
I think you've got to try multiple directions. You can't just rely on one. So go ahead and send out the postcards, but also attack your sphere of influence as well. Or maybe drop an ad in a magazine, a local newspaper, something like that. But try multiple ones to see what kind of reaction you get back. Which one pays, I guess.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't think it matters too much which one you choose as long as you measure your outcomes through time.
Absolutely. My recommendation would always be to select at least 3, right? You don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to be spreading your dollar amount around too much. We want to be keeping things as much on the inexpensive end as possible, especially if we're just starting out. But you want to be able to give yourself different methods that you are going after people. Okay, so first question on this page, how do you know where the customer is and how do you meet them there? So this is on page 5 in your participant guide, if you want to turn to that.
You can find customers anywhere.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, like we're selling real estate, so they're bounded by land. So you can do geofarming and certainly meet them there that way.
Yep.
I know that they're not at my house.
That's true. Well, they might be, but that would be, you know, that would be too easy. And hopefully if they're in your house, they call you. That would be a tough conversation.
I'm not sure I want to work with that group of people.
We'll refer it out then. Anybody else? Well, you guys are absolutely right. People are everywhere. I was joking with my husband that I think that I need to get more, I don't even know what to call it, personal services. So at one point, I had won through our PTO, our local PTO, eyelash extensions. It was crazy, but you know, I was like, fine. So I went and did it. I ended up listing this woman's house. Now she might do the eyelash extensions, but her husband is very prominent in his position. And If I tell you it was a over 7,000 square foot house, that was a really good deal. I was like, okay, well, I guess these eyelashes are worth it, right? I was listing my manicurist's house and selling them a house in New Hampshire and my hairdresser. So guess what? I mean, I would be talking to your mechanic. I mean, anywhere you go, who do you talk to? It's amazing. How do you communicate your value proposition? So that's question 2 on your page. How do you communicate your value proposition?
Memorize it.
What do you have to do before you can memorize it?
Write it down.
Believe
Right. So you have to think about it, right? We have to really work out what is it that gives us value? What do we provide that's going to give value to other people? Anybody else?
I think we have to believe it at some level.
Yep, absolutely.
For me, I am not type of memorizing scripts, like have the paper and keep repeating it. So I just like understand and believe what I am doing, and I just like talking however it came. If this idea came first or the last doesn't matter with me. So I will just like give the message in the order of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. One thing to think about is when we come up with our value proposition, right? It's going to come out in our marketing. It's going to come out in our language when we're speaking to someone, right? It's going to be a part of everything that we do. So for instance, if you have a background as a teacher, right, and you like to educate people on whether it's the process or, you know, whatever that is, whatever that big meaning to you is, that's going to come out. It's going to be a part of everything that you do. Next question is, how can you come from contribution or connect in a meaningful way? So what ideas do you have for that?
You can offer the consumer value before you ask for anything.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
I like listening during the forward conversation, which I do very loosely, and then trying to think about what they're looking for, what their pain point is in their life at the moment.
Well, and Bill, when you do that, it helps to build rapport because they're knowing that you're actually hearing them. And then later on, when you bring something back to what they talked about, what they spoke about, then it just shows, wow, Bill was really listening to me. And they might not even have noticed that they said something. And when you say to them, gee, you know, Erin, you were talking about whatever it is, the flowers in the front yard and how, you know, how much gardening means to you in your life. And, you know, this, you know, what's going to happen is they're going to turn around and be like, wow, you actually were paying attention. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think Bill makes a good point. I try to take the approach of just, you know, being a normal human being and come off less salesy and just try to relate to somebody like as a person. I think the more genuine you are with somebody, you know, the better opportunity that allows that person to actually want to put some trust in you as opposed to saying, oh, this guy just wants to, you know, get in my door and, you know, stop building a commission and, you know, in that salesy approach. So I think being genuine is a good way to do that.
Absolutely. I think the point that was brought up a second ago is really, really important. When we offer something to them or give them something before we ask, that's huge. It's almost, if we take it down to a very simple form, if everything that we do is just me, I'm so great. You want to use me, I'm the best realtor, it's only me. look at how many homes I've sold. Look at me, you know. It comes across that way very quickly. And when we are offering something to a buyer or a seller, whether it is advice, whether it is market information, whether it's information about a neighborhood or a town, even if they just need help finding a plumber or a handyman or something, when we are offering something to them, that really can come across as the fact that you're helpful. Okay, our next question. How important do you think branding and aesthetic consistency is in your marketing? And how do you achieve it?
By promoting your brand and putting it out there.
Yep. So when you're thinking of branding and aesthetic consistency, what comes to mind?
The message that you want to portray, what people will perceive as your brand. I think it goes back to how you were talking about sending out the mailers, and how, you know, a person might not reach back out to you, but you're getting that mind share in regards to, oh, Sarah sold X houses. I keep seeing this thing, Sarah this, Sarah that, Sarah that. Like, you're active within their mindset, even though they might not even be looking for real estate.
And again, when we look at question one, how do you know where they are and how do you meet them? It's also, how do you know when they're ready to buy or sell? You're not going to know until it's either too late or until you hear back from them. So having that consistency is very helpful. We're going to get into a little bit of visual things in a moment, but when you have, it doesn't have to always be the same color or the same font or the same, you know, exactly the same branding every single time. But when you do have a consistent look to what you do, it does help, because then I could see Bill Barbin's things. I see Bill Barbin's things all the time, by the way, just so you know, Mr. Barbin, I see you everywhere. I always know it's him. Why? Because he's got a consistent look. So it's not that he can't change what he's doing, but it does come across. I can look at it and almost not even look at the picture or the name. Okay, how do or should you follow up with leads generated from your marketing? What do you guys think about that one? Consistently, definitely.
Quickly, because I paid for them.
That's right.
Just pick up the phone and give them a call. Quickly.
I've had agents who will come up to me with a stack, and I mean a stack of paper. And now this is a different type of marketing, but this is from open houses. And I said, what is that? And they say, well, these are all the leads from the last 6 months of open houses. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do with that? And they're like, oh, I was thinking we should put it in command. And I'm like, well, have you talked to these people at all? They're like, no. I'm like, so you spent your time and your money and your energy doing all these open houses for the last 6 months and you've never followed up with anyone? And it's that question of, obviously in this instance, they're not even following up with them, but how should or would you follow up with the leads? And any sort of the leads, again, you guys are completely right. It should be immediate or as soon as possible, and it should be consistent, because a lot of these people, you know, especially when we look at online leads, you could be online and you're just clicking on something. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily ready. It might just be, oh, look, I really like this ad, and you click on it and yeah, okay, fine, they get my information, but you're not really ready yet. It could be 6 months down the road. It could be a year down the road, but you do have interest. So you want to make sure that you're following up with them on a consistent and systematic basis, because you won't know when they're ready until they are. Okay, so when we take action, right, we're going to create and post marketing materials in command. So first, we're going to kind of go through a few, just a few thoughts about marketing, and then we're actually going to do a little bit in command. Really quickly before we get into it, just want to give you again a little bit of an overview. I'm assuming at this point, all of you guys are command wizards anyway. But in here, when we look at the designs portion of command, it is called We Brand. That's the name of the company. When we look at that, just looking at the format, right? Going down the left-hand side, those are categories, right? So let's see, it won't let me zoom in on it, but you have business basics, you have things that are for sale, you have things, listings, buyers, all different categories. And that goes along the left-hand side. When you look at each category across the top, you'll see this one says door hangers, flyers, postcards, letters, and so on. Those are more the sizes, right? So think of the top as the size of the graphic, whereas going down the left-hand side is the category of what they've determined that would be for. And the same thing, they're all just images, just to give you an idea. So we have different template types. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but to give you an idea, you have print and you have social. Obviously, the items under the print section are meant to be printed. So you have listing presentation, buyer consultation, things such as that. In the social area, you have things that are meant to be put online. So you're going to see a lot of things that are sized for Instagram, sized for Facebook, sized for Twitter, right? At the end of the day, they're all just images. Okay, we want to make sure, by the way, that we always name our images things that make sense to us. Some of the names that are the default, if it's OH5JH7, is that really something that has meaning to you? Because it wouldn't be for me. Just saying. And we always want to make sure we save. And those are two things that I find that a lot of people are like, but I spent so long on this thing and it didn't save. Okay. So I'm going to get into command itself in a minute, but I wanted you guys to look at this image here. And I want you to really, well, first I want you to tell me what you think about it. And I want you guys to tell me what is the purpose of it first.
This looks like a flyer that you would send out like circuit prospecting around the open house.
Okay, yeah. What else?
I think that the open house information should be bigger. It's too small.
Yep.
And I was wondering if you could backtrack and show us where the save button is.
Oh yeah, I'm going to actually go into command itself in a second, and I'm going to walk you through all of that. But when we look at this piece, I want to ask you, when is the open house?
Sunday.
Which Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Pick one, Sarah, whichever Sunday you want.
I know, right? And who are the realtors?
Yeah, there's no name. There's no phone number.
So how would people respond to you? What if they can't come whichever Sunday it is from 12 to 2? Or if we think that, the mail has not necessarily been all that consistent in the past few months, like this might not get there in time if it's something that's mailed out. How are people going to reach out to you and say, is it this Sunday? Is it next Sunday? Is it every Sunday? How would they reach out to you?
And the logo of the realtors is very small. I can't even read the name.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that this is a successful marketing piece?
No.
So
for
what
some
the
clarity
reason,
for people too, though, Sarah, I have seen when somebody has a spec house in a new development and they rock and roll every Sunday from 12 to 2, it will say Sundays.
Yep.
Right. And I've seen that before. Yeah. For clarity though, without a date, it's leaving question marks, right? We want to convey our information to everybody with love as if they were a 4-year-old. right?
Absolutely.
Leave no stone unturned, right?
Well, we also don't know on the other side, assuming this is a postcard on the other side, we don't know what it says. It might spell everything out for us. But again, if someone's going to do that really quick, look at it, and then put it down, we want to make sure that we have easy to understand information that at a quick glance, they can see at least the majority of what they need, or to have them say, oh, I want to know more, and turn it over. So just things for you to start thinking about when you are designing some of your marketing. Just make sure you have that clarity.
Now, how do you get to print that the way that it's designed as a card with front and back? I actually was playing with some designs yesterday and I didn't even know how to print them.
So in this case, for a postcard, you would download a PDF of the postcard and you would print that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, when we get into Command, I will show you that there.
And Sarah, too, just looking at this, and we're picking on this because you and Erin and I have seen this slide more than once. The picture itself is so busy, and I'm so senile. I feel like maybe it was there, and I just can't see it, right? Because there's a lot going on. And my second argument is the TV's too small. I'm going to say that until they swap this slide out. The TV's way too small.
Well, and see, I'm thinking the TV's small and it's so far to the left. I want it to be in the middle over that little corner cabinet. I don't know.
Yeah, as a guy, all I can see is like the sun splashing off it. I'll never be able to watch the football. I can't see a thing on the screen. Yeah, there's a lot going on. But the picture there's so much going on in the photo. It leaves the viewer like maybe all the details were there, but I got lost in the pots and the pans hanging in the back of the kitchen that I can't seem to take my eyes off of, right? It's like a Where's Waldo,
It is. I want to know what's on the table. There's just way too much. Okay, so here's another one. I want you guys to tell me what you like or think is missing, or what are your feelings about this one?
Oh, no, there's no phone number.
I don't think there's a call to action on this one. It's not like come see houses. It's just like a random information. It's getting customers more familiar with like real estate and the properties, but like it's not creating association with any realtor to call or anything like that.
There might be a little bit of confusion when you see Heartlink Homes and KW Pulley-Up. It's like, well, wait, is one part of the other? Are they the same thing? Is one a developer? Can't call them, so I don't know. Can't email them. There's no website. How do you guys feel about the fact that all the information isn't there? So if you look at it, they've got an average listing price, an average sold price, active pending, but average days on market is not available.
It's just not complete. It's just a bad advertisement.
Yeah. And again, as someone mentioned, there's no call to action, and everything that we do, whether we're speaking or if we are creating a piece of marketing, we always want to have some sort of a call to action. Call today to find out more. Things are heating up in Gem Heights. Contact us today to find out what's happening with your home, or something about actually taking action. Click on here, go to this link. Here's a QR code, whatever it is, something to give them an action. And I really want to know, that one with the tennis court. Oh, like, is that just for the whole area? It looks like it's just for that one house. See, these are all questions.
I hate the picture.
I know, I do.
Yes.
Like that one house without a pool. I'm like, oh, well, nobody wants that one. They're like the only one. I think there's two without a pool.
That's what Erin and I joked about, was if you're the one that buys the house without the tennis court and the pool, right? Is this actually a house on the street, or is it the servants' quarters? Like, where am I actually moving into,
That's right.
It's very busy again, yeah.
Yeah.
How about this one?
This is my least favorite one.
Me too.
Don't anyone send me a postcard that looks like this.
Yeah.
Just listed pending. Okay, whoop-de-doo. All right.
Well,
no phone numbers again.
Here's a question I have. So I don't know why, but I look at the middle picture and I'm waiting for like, where's the brush fire? But
That's what I was just gonna say. Where's the like helicopter dropping the water on the ground? Yeah.
yeah. So what's interesting is for the just listed, you have all the, information, 115,000, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, or it's a vacant lot. But what about the Holyoke one? Like, why isn't there any information there? And again, there's no call to action. There's no contact information. It says that it's all in the details, but the details aren't really there.
So I have a question. So when I've gotten these in the mail before and they're the pending ones, why would somebody put a pending one out there if it's pending?
Well, look at me. I must have listed this, or I have a buyer and it's now pending.
It's more like hurry up before the other two go away, basically.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to jump over to command. So I'm going to just switch screens here. I have too many screens open on my computer, so let me just pop over. Okay, so in command, when we want to design something, and I'm just going to stretch out my screen a little bit, I'm going to come down to designs. Now designs is third from the bottom. It looks like a square with a little paintbrush. And I'm sure you guys have gotten this by now. When you hover over an applet, the little name will pop out, or you can click on the white KW in the red box and all of the names pop out. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to open up designs. At least I keep clicking to open up designs. And what I want to do is just really quickly look at what happens when I open up designs. So you're going to see all different things that I've been doing. So last week we were talking about St. Patrick's Day and things. So you could see there's a few things open there, but everything that shows up here, these are all things that I've already done. There's 359 of them. If you have nothing here, that just means you haven't created anything yet. Now up here at the top, you see email, landing page, social, print, agent site, and video. All that these do is sort what I've already done in each one of those categories. Right? So if I haven't done any of these things, then nothing will show up. If I want to create something, no matter where I am in here, I need to click on the teal circle with the plus sign in it. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on that now. And when I do, I get 5 options. I have email, social, print, video, and import PDF. So if I come in here, whether I hit print or social, we're going to start with those. I'll just start with print, and I have to hit next at the bottom. It is going to open up the print section. Now the default, it always opens up the KW app because that's the first category on the left. So if you recall, I said a few minutes ago, everything on the left are categories. And then in each category, everything on the right are sizes. So under this, I have jumbo postcards, letters, postcards, and standard postcards. So that's just under the app one. If I go under listings, you'll see I have for sale, just listed, just sold, the listing presentation, local expert, and so on. And if I keep going down, you'll see that I have several options. So just because it came up before, I'm going to show you, we've got St. Patrick's Day in a few days, 2 days, 3 days. So if I go under lead generation and I go to holiday greetings, well, guess what? We don't have any printed materials for that. So we'll do that when we go over to the social. If I'm in listings and I go to for sale, right? So I could look at these and say, wow, they all look the same. They all have the same kitchen. It's all red and white. It might be easier Oh, now if we come down a little bit, it's starting to populate with more. If I know I'm doing a postcard, I might want to come out and just pick, all right, well, which size postcard am I doing? I'm going to do a standard postcard. Well, now I can see all of my choices in this category of for sale that are a standard postcard size. It's a lot easier visually for you to look at. I could look at just listed, same thing. I could say, oh, I'm doing a postcard. Let's just look at what the postcards are. And I can come down to any of these. The one thing I do want you to keep in mind is that these are images. So if I really like one of these images, and let's say it's in the open house category, but I don't want it to say open house, I want it to say for sale, I can edit all of the text in here. So I could certainly change that. So I'm just going to go ahead and open one. And let's just pick this one here. When I decide which one I want to use, when I hover on them, you see that I have a red button that pops up that says use. So I'm going to just click on the red button.
May I ask just a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like for instance, the use thing you just clicked on, is that standard? That's what's in there? Will we all see that? Okay, that's not something you put in. All right.
Oh, no, you will see those. Now, what happens when I open it is it's coming into what's called My Assets first, right? Because it's the first tab that opens all the way to the left is Images. And you will see that we have, so I don't know why there's 4 images in here, but there are. I can see there's different backgrounds. I can hide this whole window and see more of my screen. I can also see at the bottom, I have 2 different pages because it's a postcard. If I don't want to take up the real estate on my screen with that, I can certainly hide it just by clicking on that little downward arrow. And I can also page through first page, second page. Okay. Now, once I'm on looking at this image, I have several objects. So if I start to hover over them, might be a little bit hard to see, but as I hover over different things, you can see the little blue outline boxes. So if I don't want this to say just sold, if this is actually going to be an open house, I'm going to just select the words and start typing. Now, one of the main reasons I chose open house is because it is longer, if I look at that. And this box that's around it, it's a text box. And if you're used to some other programs that use text boxes, if it doesn't fit in the text box, it's going to shift down. So what I want you to notice is I'm just going to move my cursor outside of the box and I'm just going to click once. And now I have handlebars around there. In the corners, I have circles. And on either side, left and right, I have kind of ellipses. And if I take that and I drag it out, I'm just making my text box bigger. If I make it smaller, I can make it so you only see one letter at a time. But in this case, I'm going to make the text box bigger so that open house fits across. So that's just kind of an example of how the text works. I can also use all the editing tools that are at the top. So if I don't want it to be gray, I could come in and I could make a color. Let's say I want a red. If I know the code for a specific color, I could certainly choose that. But if I hit apply, you'll see now open house is in red. If I want this to really match my design, and maybe I'm not a designer and I don't really know what colors work well together, that's okay, I can cheat. So I'm going to click on the fill color icon again. And I want you to notice my favorite tool, it's this eyedropper. And when I choose the eyedropper, first thing I want you to notice is up here at the top, it does give me what's called the hex code number, but it also gives me a little, like right now it's a black box. But if I go around my design, you can see that color changes because I am picking up colors that are in the design. So again, I don't even have to be a designer. I could just pick a color. So that green was kind of dark. So I'm going to come back and.
Can you go back and show us how you got that eyedrop again?
Absolutely. So what I did is I'm selecting on the fill color And if I hover over it, you'll see it says fill color above it. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to come down and I'll just zoom in here. It's right in the bottom left of this box underneath the gradiated color issue. So if I pick on that and I say, you know what, I want a blue. So I'm just going to grab a blue from the design. If I don't like it, instead of hitting apply, I'm just going to click on that eyedropper again, and I can try to find there's really not any darker blues. The one thing that's nice is when I use the eyedropper, I still have the option to say, you know what, I'm going to just make it a little bit darker and a little bit more saturated just by moving around in this box. And then it still coordinates. It's just a little bit darker than what was there. So I like that because even if you're not a designer, you can make things that coordinate well, right? You're just using the image. Now, let's talk about images.
Excuse me?
Yep.
When you're using the eyedropper, are you clicking at each area with the eyedropper, or you're just hovering over it?
When I decide which one I really like, so if I click on it again, I'm hovering, right?
Yep.
I'm finding the color. And once I say, oh, you know what, I really want to use this one, I'm going to click.
Okay.
And then I can decide, do I like it or not?
All right, thanks.
Sure. So that to me is the best kept secret, because you can really go in and make things that look phenomenal. Now, let's say this is obviously not the house. It's warm for today. Okay, so on the left-hand side, if I go back over to the left-hand side, the first button or the first icon at the top is images. And I was telling you earlier, it's first starting with my assets. And I will show you how you can change what your assets are. So in this case, from my marketing profile in Command under settings, I started putting in agent photos, and then I changed them, like I have the one that's cut out so that it's transparent and so on. If I click on company right here, if I click on company, I get these folders, right? And they keep adding to them, which is great. In each one of these folders, I can click on it and it will give me royalty-free, copyright-free images that I can use. So if I find one that I really like, I have two options of what I can do. I can literally click on it and drag it over, and it will populate in. And that's not looking very good in there. It's all pixelated. The other thing that I can do is I can select on the photo. And when I do that, I think I'm selecting on something that's not the photo. Interesting. The replace button's not showing on this one, so we'll have to look at that. The other thing that I can do is I could hit the plus sign, and there you go. Now it's coming in very nicely. It's coming in as a background. It's fitting right to the image. So again, if I chose the kitchen and I hit the plus sign, it's now switching over to the kitchen. If I wanted this one, I'll hit the plus sign. It's showing a nice hallway. So all of these here, obviously for an open house, I wouldn't be using a royalty-free image, but I want you to see that they're all here.
But you can add an image of the house that you're actually have an open house on.
Oh, yes. So our next option, if we're going to the left, is the button that says add. And when I click on add, you're going to see, first of all, I have Facebook pages. That would be like your business pages, Google Drive or Dropbox. One thing I do like people to know is when you connect it, it will, even though I've connected, it's always every once in a while kind of asking for permission again. This is going to bring in the regular Facebook one is your personal profile, right? I like to tell people that because I've had people say, oh my goodness, there's my kids. And I'll be like, well, yes, there they are, because it's your personal Facebook. Well, when you are connected, or if you want to say, yes, right? And I could come in and pick business pages here. I'll just pick that one. Then it will bring in pictures that you have from your Facebook business page. If you had an image on your computer, right? If you've gotten the pictures back from the photographer or if you've downloaded them from MLS, you can click right here on this little, it's like a computer with an arrow on it. You can click on that and it will bring you to your computer and you could come in and choose. I don't have a picture of a house on here right now, but you could pick whatever photograph you had in there from your computer. It will add whatever you choose right here. So if I come in, I'm just going to pick an image. When you add an image, you see it will start to come in right here on the left. So I just added this computer screen. So if I wanted to, look at that, it's designs in command, right? I just added that one on top just for right now, but I wanted to show you that you can add images in from your computer pretty easily. All right. So you've got that option there as well. Once you have that part the way you like it, it takes a little bit of just practice in using it. To me, I look at it this way. The first time we do anything, it can be awkward. So when I want to change what I'm doing in here, and I've noticed on my computer, I have a Mac and I tend to use the trackpad and I zoom in just with my fingers, right? I just come in and say, oh, I want to look at that. And when I do that in here, it tends to do what it just did a second ago. So if I zoom in and then I double click on something, see how it flashes over to the other side? I don't know why, but I'm actually glad it happened so I can show you. I found it works much better if you use the zoom at the bottom of your screen, only for that reason. So if you ever see that happen, it's just, okay, yeah, that's because I zoomed in with my trackpad instead of using the zoom at the bottom. So again, I can come in here and I could just start typing caps on here. And I can put in whatever information I want to, right? Now, again, I can change the font, I can change the color, I can change anything that I want in there. So if I click just on that text, again, if I look at the top of the bar or the top of the screen, I can see first I have a list of all different texts. So I could say, oh, I want it to be this one. I might need to stretch out that text box. I can use the drop down here and I can choose a font size. Obviously, that's a little bit large for this, but that's okay. Again, if I need to, I can stretch out that text box. But the other option I want you to see, because I showed you by using these side kind of squished ellipse handles, I can move the text box or the text box bigger or smaller. A font person, I don't know different font sizes. Circle scaling. So I could come in and use those circles and I could say, well, visually, I want the 0, I want it to line up to that open house. So that can kind of be a nice thing, is just using those corner circles to make it bigger or smaller. Now I can still use the arrow keys on my keyboard, and let's say I want to move the whole thing up a little bit, and that helps as well. But same thing, I could select the whole image or the whole text box. I could use that. Oh, that's not a good color. I could come in and use that eyedropper tool, and I could come in and grab, whatever color I want it to be, just to get that kind of nice look. Okay, I want to show you the difference next, if no one has any other questions so far, about the text button or the text icon that's on the left-hand side and the text that you see up here at the top. So images, you've seen your headshots that are from your marketing profile, the company folders with different images, and that you can connect to social media, Google Drive, Dropbox, or add images from your computer. One thing I will tell you that I just noticed last week, if you add a PDF with a lot of images, it separates the images. So to give you an example, I was redoing our new agent guide, and this has several images on it. Each image was separated. It didn't bring in the whole cover as one. So I made it a PNG file and then it was fine. So I just like to bring that up, or you could take a screenshot of it. The text button that is below images, this again is bringing you into what you might have in your marketing profile. So if I look at my marketing profile, it's got all of my information. It's got my office, my cell phone, my little bio, my website, office phone, office address, right? These here are all from my marketing profile. So if I didn't want to write it out, which makes me laugh, I could just click on it and you see my name pops out. Now, again, I would want to come in and probably make it a different color and maybe change the font and maybe, make it bold and all things that I would want to do. That is right here under my assets. It's everything that you have written in your marketing profile. Under company, we have our ownership statement. Each office is independently owned and operated. If I don't want to write it out, I can click on it, right? And I can certainly make it a different color and size and whatever. Banners are really kind of fun. So if you look at these, you can scroll down, there's hundreds of them. You might say, well, why would I care about this? But let's say I like the look of this one that says, hello, mate. It's nothing to do with an open house, right? I can click on it and it's going to add it here to my image. I can change what it says. I can change the color. I can change just about every single thing that there is about this. And it's kind of done for me. Now, let's say I don't like the color. What I want you to notice is now there's two fill colors. So if I want to, I'd have to look and see, well, which one is which? And again, I'm just clicking on the different fill colors. Oops. And then maybe I would want to change the font color as well. It's giving font color here. So what I want to do is show you, this is just, and this might be some use. Do you see this little, it looks like a chain link with little lines coming out of it. And if I hover over it, it says explode sticker. It's not really going to explode on your computer. It should be called ungroup. If I do that, then when I select on my text, I can just change it. The only problem is now that I've done that, if I want to move something, you see how it's not connected anymore? It's not grouped together. So just keep that in mind before you explode the sticker. But now you have something that's kind of done for you and you don't even have to mess with it, and it looks kind of fun, right? So there's a lot of different banners. Definitely something I would play with and get out your frustration with for a good 5 minutes, and then you should be okay. The next thing is add, and again, it's telling you that you can click, drag, and so on if you had text. The next button down, well, let me just show you the difference here. The text that's up at the top is really the text that you're going to use most often. So if I were to just click on here, I have title, subtitle, body text, and text block, and the difference is mostly size. Except for the text block, it will put in a lot of gobbledygook that you're going to get rid of and type in what you want. But it really works the same. You're going to choose your font that you want it to be. You're going to choose the color that you want it to be. You're going to, change the text to what you want it to say. You can underline it, make it italicized. You can even, let's say you type the whole thing out and you realize, no, I really want it all to be capitalized. You can just click a button and it will make it all capitalized or all lowercase. The only thing is that except for the back undo arrow, there's really no go back to the way it was. Okay. So you're going to use the text that's right here. But I just wanted you to see what that one does. Icons are kind of interesting. So I made this arrow on my computer and I uploaded it, which is why it's under my assets. But a lot of times, if you just want to point something out, it's kind of obviously it would never be that big. For the company icons they give you are really just your contact icons. Under stock, you have all sorts of crazy icons. I want to figure out how to make this, something usable. There's a lot of different things in here. The one that I think I'd probably use the most personally is banners, because a lot of times if you were doing a flyer that you were going to hand out and you just wanted it to look a little fancy, you can add in something, just something to kind of spruce it up a little bit. But a lot of these, I laughed, I was teasing someone and I put sunglasses on them through here, and I had a hedgehog and I had a fish, and she's like, what did you do? I was like, I don't know, I was just looking at what some of the different things are. But you can add food. The maps are not bad. There's not a lot of times when you're like, hey, I need an avocado in my picture here. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I'm not being creative enough.
I have a quick question for you.
Yep.
So with each of all the way to the left under the KW images, text, icons, each one of those that I click on, it will bring up a separate toolbar, like for the colors and things like that I could change, a formatting bar.
Well, so for instance, if I put in here this peach, you can see it has apparently two different browns, probably I don't know where the other brown is. You've got four different oranges that make this peach, and you've got the one green, right?
Gotcha.
So that's what's happening there.
Right. So those formatting toolbar, I'm just going to say, is specific for whatever you're popping in. So if something doesn't show up, don't go crazy. You just can't do it in that specific thing. Okay.
Because see, when I click on text, how that changes to be the text bar, but if I select on nothing, it goes back to the default.
Thank you.
Sure. Now, logos are going to be one that you really work with. So in your marketing profile, if you have a personal logo or a team logo and your office logo, they should come in on your marketing profile. And I can show you how to add in additional ones. So for instance, I like having multiple versions of the logo in here. And the reason why, if I were to choose our standard logo, anywhere I put it on this picture, it's really hard to see unless I were to somehow stick it on the wall here, right? It's just hard to see. If I move this down to the floor, it's gone. You don't see it at all. If I use, say, the white one, or even the white with the red KW, I could put this somewhere and you're going to be able to see it. The other tool that I like that comes up, if you look up at the top at that formatting bar, right? I've got two different things. I've got a stroke color, which that's like an outline. I don't have any outlines in there. I don't want a box around it. But if I look at this one that looks, like a yin and yang symbol, it's called opacity. And I use this a lot because sometimes it just makes it easier to see. So if I went to an extreme, you can see now my logo is almost transparent, right? It's almost not even visible. Maybe I bring it up to, say, in this case, 65 or maybe 75 or something. And just to show you, because my name is in white, you can still see the logo, but it's more like a watermark. It's a little bit less in your face. And I actually think in a lot of ways, when I look at that next to my name with the highlight on the floor, it's kind of easier to see. And it kind of can look nice. Even if I decide to put in the one with the red, and if I do the same thing, just kind of lower the opacity a little bit, it can look really nice on a photo. It's not so in your face, but it's still very visible. So you've got your logos. The bottom one kind of solves what we were talking about before with the images, as well as with some of your write-ups. So let's just say Bill Barbin can you tell me a listing that you have right now? Just the address.
213 East Main Street,
And what town?
Conway, New Hampshire.
Okay. Look at that. Clinton, Athens. Where is, right here? This one? Okay, so I'm gonna hit select. And when I do that, first of all, I want you to see that all the pictures from MLS come in. Now, obviously, we're not in the same office. This is not my listing, but guess what? Personally, before you're gonna do this, I would call up Bill Barbin and say, can I do an ad based on your house or on your listing? But technically, yes, I can do that. So if I came in, not sure why it's sticking on the top, but we could fix that afterwards. Just a little strange. It's not popping in. There we go. No, still on the top. That is different. But the other thing I want you to notice is other than the photos, you also have listing details. And if I click on listing details, everything that he has in here in the MLS is going to pop up. So it wouldn't be good for a postcard, but if he wanted to take part of his listing write-up, if I click here on the property description, I want you to see his whole listing write-up will come in. Now, obviously over this picture, you can't see it and it's very big, but let's just say that on here, he just wanted that one part. Right, so if I just wanted this one part, again, on the front of a postcard, it's not really something that you would probably do, but you could see that you could grab information straight from the listing. I just want to figure out on my end why the photo is not playing nice with me today. So what I'm going to do is kind of get the photo in a decent enough place. Now, we were talking about how no matter what tool you're using, your buttons change at the top. And if I go to the arrange button up here, I have one that I can say send to the bottom. And now I can see that this is here. So I'm going to lock it. One thing I want you to just write down is if you hold down the shift key, and I'm just clicking, I clicked on the background and on the word open and on the word house. If I do that with the shift key, it will select all three, whereas otherwise, obviously, it would just choose the one. So you can move things around as you want. So now you could see starting to build out. I probably would want to change my green or my blue to not be blue, but anyway, you can see you can move stuff around and change things around. But the KWLS feature is really nice because I could say, well, which picture looks better, and just go ahead and change it around. Now, the buttons up at the top that are standard, I showed you text. We have drawing, shapes, and frames. So drawing, if I click on the word drawing, I have a square, a rectangle, an ellipse, a line, a circle, a path, and the pen icon. If I go to shapes, you're going to see, well, a lot of those are right here, but I also have a folder here if I want animals, because everybody needs to put a bat in the middle of their drawing here. Put a bat next to Bill Barbin's house. If it's Halloween, maybe, but I don't know. But you've got all different shapes. Most of the time, you're going to stick to basic. You could come in and let's say that I'm going to make a
I'm
box.
sorry again. How did you pull up these shapes again?
Up top, I went to shape.
How
up
did
at the
you
top.
pull that? How did you pull that one, that list?
I clicked on the word shape and then I clicked here on basic and have a list.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to make a box. Now I want you to see that this shapes work very much the same way text does. So I've got the squished ellipses and I also have the circles. So if I use the circles in the corner, it's going to get bigger or smaller. Whereas if I use the side ones, I could, make it, it's not a proportional zoom type of a thing, like the ones in the corners, no matter what, it's going to keep whatever the ratio is of height to width. Whereas if I use the ones top and bottom, I can do whatever I want with it. So I'm going to come in and just make a box. And the first thing I want you to notice is that this has a black outline and it has a blue inside. So they call that a stroke and a fill. And if I look up here at the top, I have 4 options. I have opacity, the fill, the stroke color, and then I have the stroke itself. So if I click on stroke, I could make it dotted. I could make it, whatever I choose, and you'll see that it will change that there. I could make it whatever color. But the second best tool besides the eyedropper is this right here. It looks like or diagonal lines. And if I choose that, that is transparent. That means that that outline goes away. So now I could come in and say, well, I'm going to make this black and I'm going to change the opacity and just make it like a slight color. And then if I were to put text over it, I could make it something that's readable, but it's, a little bit, you can tell it's like a little piece of acetate sitting over it. So if I wanted to put details on the house or if I wanted to change up something. So that's a lot of times what you're going to use shapes for. Or you might put a banner across the top. If you're going to do something that says open house, Sunday 12 to 2, and maybe you're going to you want it over the top of that picture so that you can see it. Shapes are really good for that. Frames. Frames can be good, frames can be hard. I'll show you the best use of a frame. So all I did is I clicked on frames and I chose the circle. I could come in and put my face in it, right? So now it's cropped into a circle. The problem is, if your image is a rectangle, so if you look at this agent photo image, it's taller than it is wide. So my forehead's cut off, or the top of my head's cut off. If I switch it to something that is square, then my head is not cut off. Right? So that can be useful for a frame if you wanted to do something like that. I've just seen people get very frustrated when they choose a frame, like let's pick the star, for instance, and they stick their face in the star, and you can't change that. There's no way to say, well, let's make my face smaller so that it's not chopped off in the middle of the star. You can't do it. It doesn't matter. You're always going to be like weirdly chopped off in the shape of a star. So, you could certainly play with the frames and say, well, how does this look? Okay, look, now I'm in a yellow oval.
Can you change the color of that oval?
Excuse me. Yes.
Can you change the opacity of the oval? Like make it transparent a little? Okay, thank you.
But it does the whole thing. Because now the picture's part of that frame. So now I look like a ghost, okay. Which is fine. I don't mind being a ghost. I'm okay with it. Right. But so those are frames. Frames are something where it's rather than if I just click on this picture, excuse me, it's just a square and I can still make it bigger or smaller. Right. This one that I put in the circle frame, it's just cropped a little bit nicer, I suppose.
Sarah, somebody had a very good question. It was actually, I wondered also. How did you bring the image from the picture behind forward? Like the
Okay.
open house in the circle?
So I'm just going to use this as an example. So if I am clicked on anything, it could be text, it could be an image. We have these buttons up here, these 5 buttons up at the top right. The second one in is called Arrange. And up at the top, you have layer order. So if I move my picture to the back, you see it's gone because it's now behind the house. If I move it to the top, it'll be at the top. And then if I put it here so that the text is in front of it, I could start saying, no, move it forward, and you'll see it go, you know, in different layers. So if you could think of it like little pieces of acetate or tracing paper sitting on top, what's the order? So you can play with that there.
So the order is the first one being the original picture that you have there, the original postcard, and second being the one in the front.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that you can do is down here, you have all your justifications. You've got, you know, vertical middle, horizontal middle, left, right. So you could just see, it doesn't seem to go all the way top or bottom, but it is going, you know, in different places. So that can be helpful. Again, if you choose to, I don't know why that red box is there now. If you choose to hold down the shift key. So if I chose the picture and the logo, so I've got both, I held down shift while I clicked my picture and the logo. You can see they're both selected. I could choose the arrange button, and I'll just let it go in the middle so you see it. They are now centered vertically, right? So I know that my picture is centered over my office logo, and then I can move them. It's all fine.
Is that how you fixed that main issue you were having before when you dragged the main image over?
Yep.
Fixed it with those back, that's what you did?
Yep.
So the whole picture of the home itself, when you dragged it over, you had to just click those buttons.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So again, now the picture's at the top, and I can send it to the bottom, and now it's behind everything else.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure. So before we take our break, I just want to make sure that you guys realize that this is in no way, shape, or form the most perfect postcard you've ever seen. It's not bad. It's not perfect. It's not horrible. It's a good start. I wouldn't know how to use any of these tools if I didn't give it a good 10 or 15 minutes to go, what does this do? Let me try that. And what I love about it is it's free-ish. I mean, we do all pay our technology fee that covers all of Command, right? It's a tool that I think that with just a little bit of practice, if we realize, number one, we can't break it, we can really do a pretty decent job with things. The one thing to keep in mind is up at the top, again, remember I was telling you, if we don't rename it, it's kind of this gobbledygook. So it says 04_ just sold postcard. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. So I would probably call this 123 Main Street postcard. And I can either click on the word download. If I choose JPEG or PNG, which is portable network graphic, it's only going to do whichever page I'm on. So if I'm looking at the first page, that's the only one it's going to save. If I'm going to print this or send it to a printer, I could print it on my printer here, or I could send it to someone. I'm going to need a PDF, and I'm going to want to choose high resolution PDF. Okay. When I do that, I just want you to watch the bottom left of my screen where it says support. These can take a little bit of time, meaning 30 seconds, which is really tough when you're trying to get stuff done to wait. Okay, now you see this popped up in Chrome in the bottom left of my screen. This means it's saved to my downloads folder. If I click to download and I click the done button, it will cancel the download. And I can't even tell you, I do it all the time where I'll hit download. I'm like, where is it? Why didn't it save? Oh, because I clicked done. Right? If I click done, it's going to save it. And it's going to save it into my design templates. It's right here. So I can just open it again, Or if I wanted to do a similar postcard for a different property, I would duplicate it. Seeing that weird red box is gone. It's bizarre. So now I have this here. I can make a change. Again, I can download it. The share button, what I want you to realize with this is, let's say I wanted to use this online, or I wanted to do it as a hyperlink to something, or you know what, I could use this as an ad. I wouldn't necessarily want to have the default, which is this design. I'd probably want the project, but if it's a one page, I could do either. But you'll notice that this gives me a hyperlink. If I copy that hyperlink, and I'm in Chrome, I'm just opening up a new tab, and I paste that hyperlink, it's going to give me that image. If I had a multiple paged image, much like your New Agent magazine, or if you had, Bill, if you had all of the paperwork or anything that you would put in a printed brochure about this house, you could have them all on different pages, if you will. Back here, you could just say add another page and it would work. So in this case, you'll see I do have the arrow, and I never filled out the back side of this postcard. But now, even though this was a printed postcard, I can use it digitally for marketing. So I know that that's a lot. What I want you guys to do is do you guys want a 5-minute break, 10-minute break? Bill says 10.
Can I ask a
David
quick question?
10. Yep.
So if once we customize it, like open house or any flyers, if you want to send it out, do we add our credit card there and it charges automatically? How do we pay for this to send it out?
So if you're going to print it or have it printed, then you would download it and send it to whatever printer you were using. Otherwise, you can put it onto the internet for free.
How do you download it that it shows that it's a postcard?
You would download it as a PDF.
Okay.
So if you want to mail it out automatically, do we add our credit card there? So you
No,
send it out.
because right now we don't currently have a printer that prints from this portion. So you would save it as an image file and you would have it printed somewhere.
So we cannot have it mailed out, right?
Not from designs, no.
Like just listed, just sold, we can send it out. Okay.
There is a separate, under campaigns, you can do postcards under campaigns. So if you save these images, you could then upload that into that portion, but from designs, no.
Do you have a compliance approval?
I would highly recommend that whatever your office standards are, office protocols, that you're doing that.
Then if I want to put on Facebook, just share, we just share, or?
Well, you could
what I do?
share it, or you could download the image. And then what I like to do about that is then when I go in, if I'm doing either an ad or a post, I can write out whatever I want. I might not be ready to share it right this moment, but I like the image. I'm going to save the image and then I can go in and just upload it into Facebook or whatever I'm doing.
Can we design our business card this way on here also?
Yes. Yep. That's under print. When you go under the print section.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's take a 10-minute break and then we can come back and we'll finish up.
Thank you.
Sound good? All right. See you in 10 minutes. Okay, guys, just start to let me know when you're coming back. I'll just give it another few seconds here. All right, so I have a few more things that I want to show you, and then I'd like to have some questions and answer type of scenario here. But what I'd like to do is go back into Command. And I want to talk about a few different things. So I showed you the print section, right? So what I was working on before was technically for a postcard. What I'm going to do is come in now, and I just want to show you the types of things that are available under social. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that teal circle with the plus sign, and I'm going to choose social. Now, when I do this, it looks pretty much the same. Okay, so going down on the left, I have the categories, and going across the top, I have the sizes. So for instance, if I choose the KW app, or if I choose, look at that, it's not showing anything. I love it when technology works for me when I'm teaching a class. So I'm going to log out and log back in. Well, isn't that fun? Okay, let me try one more thing here. Okay. All right, so I am now under social. So I went back to designs. I clicked on the teal circle with the plus sign. I said social, and I clicked next. So just like in the print side, I have the categories going down the left, and I have the sizes. So you can see for the app, everything is a social square. So these are all images that you could customize and use that talk about your app. If I go under listings, just like on the print side, I have for sale, just listed, all the different things, but you see I have social wide, I have social square, and I have what they call stories, which would be like Instagram stories that are more of a tall rectangle. Here's my thing. It doesn't matter really which one you post on any sort of social media site. Look at them as images. What do you like the way it looks better? Do you like the wide rectangle? Do you like the tall rectangle, or do you like the square? So pick which one you like. I love this one down here, this one that has the 4 pictures. It says, see it to believe it. I think that one's great. I've used that one a lot of times. Under buyer, again, you have multiple things. But under lead generation, when you go to holiday greetings, this is where you get kind of fun things. So this weekend, you could have used the, the spring ahead. Again, I find it easier the way that I think to just look at one size, because when I see all the different ones in all the different sizes, my eyes just go crazy. So I personally like the square. So, all right, St. Patrick's Day is in a couple days. Maybe I want to send something out. Maybe I want to make a post that's going to go out. I could actually have it go out today, or have it schedule it today to go out on Wednesday. So what am I going to do on here? Well, I'm going to change the logo to be my office logo. I'm just going to drag it on the top of it. It'll change it over, and I can still manipulate it. If I don't like it, I just delete it, and then I could just add it back in. You know, maybe I want it down here at the bottom, whatever it is that you want to do. Now, a lot of these elements are separate images. So I just want to show you this. For instance, I think the hat is like several pieces. It's kind of weird. The clover is also, nope, that one's just one piece, you know, but if you don't want it to be yellow, because you don't usually see yellow clovers, you know, you could manipulate it however you want it. I'll make it an extremely bright clover. But you could change this, you could move everything around, you could do whatever. Maybe you don't want it a green background because it's so green. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up. I don't really think you'd want a purple background, but you could certainly make it whatever it is that you want. You could put your name in there, you could put your picture in there. So watch this, if I wanted my picture in here, we'll make it smaller so it kind of fits in there. But you know, it looks a little weird. It looks like I'm looking off into the distance. So those buttons that come up on the top.
If you keep it centered, Sarah, it looks like you're wearing the hat. I like that, actually.
If I choose to transform, I can actually flip it. So I could make myself dance. So I look like a little leprechaun dancing down there. Maybe I should move it so that I, you know, put the hat on top of it. So I'm wearing the hat. That's not a bad idea. I don't know. I like it, Tim. But I could come in and I could put all my information down here below. I could select everything except for the background color and move it up a little bit. I mean, I could really make this my piece, even though it's, you know, from Keller Williams. Why not? Maybe I want, you know, I don't know. I don't like that green, so I'm going to put it back. But I could go in and make any changes that I want to this. I can add anything to it. It's great. And then again, I can save it. I can download it. I could make it so that I can just grab that link to get to it if it wants to work with me. Here we go. Right, so I could come in and I could just grab that by that link. Or if I'm going to use it in multiple places, I'm probably just going to download it and then I have it anywhere I want. Right, so I would just hit download, and I have to be patient enough, which I'm not always good at personally, waiting for that to pop into the bottom left corner of Chrome so I know that it's downloaded. Not that long, I'm just impatient. And then when I'm done with it, yep.
Could you tell me how you got your face to float? I missed that when you talked about that earlier. Like how
Well, I had
floating image.
gone in, yeah, I had gone in and actually removed the background myself. It was a little bit painstaking. Although Photoshop does have a new tool, if you know someone who has Photoshop, that does it pretty quickly for you. I actually drew around the whole thing. It took forever. But even if I had one that has a background, this would look better if I moved up the rainbow, but we'll just leave it. Again, I'm going to click on this transform button. I don't really want to rotate it, but I could flip it horizontally, and that just looks better because my body language is pulling into the design instead of looking out like, get me out of here. You don't want that, right? So no matter what you do, and then if you have a different image, you would just drag it over. I have to flip it again.
Maybe try your picture where the beer is, with the beer splashing on your head.
Oh, that would be good. I like that. I don't know. I kind of want to move the happy. I mean, why not, right? We could literally do just about whatever we want here. So if we put me here and kind of hard when it's like right where you need to look, but let's just see if I click that. Oh, see, look, now it's like the hat is on top of me. Look at that. I'm looking
It's gonna
styling.
relayer it, right?
I might need to make
There
it
it
a
is.
darker hat. See, now my maiden name's Irish. It's starting to fit together now. I could also, one thing that's nice to keep in mind, if you click and drag, so if I wanted to grab the whole hat, I'm going to actually move the word appy, the appy part of happy, because I know that this little top is separate. Right. How weird is that? But if I click and drag, I'm going to select the whole thing. All right. So again, if I just put my cursor somewhere that's going to, be tall enough to grab the whole thing, and I'm drawing a box with my cursor around all of it, now I can move it all together. And then I could just, oops, grab this. Right, so you can really manipulate almost anything that you want. Maybe I need to rotate my head a little bit so it looks better with that hat. I don't know. But you could have fun. I mean, there's no reason why you can't play with this and have a good time. I think it's hysterical. I have to do something now with this hat. I don't know, Tim.
I had 2 quick questions.
Yep.
Did you say you hit shift when you wanted to move multiple things at once to highlight?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, I know you can't see my fingers. I'm going to hold down shift. I'm going to click on the H and on the appy. And you can see I let go. And now you can see I have both of that selected, and then I can move them together.
Awesome. Now, the other question is, I'm really corny. I like to add confetti and stuff like that. So with the Facebook ones, would I need to add that after it goes into Facebook, or can I add that here?
You could add it there. If you had that image, you could add it beforehand.
Well, I'm talking about, how you can, I don't even know what it's called, but when you can actually see the confetti moving.
Oh yeah, that I would probably do after.
All right, so
one thing I can show you is I had done some things for our office that, I had just taken an image from Google, made sure it was copyright free, this awards thing with all the stars coming out, right? And then I just tailored it, the colors based on the background of the image, right? But I just put in that image right there. Looks kind of snazzy. So when we got those letters from the region saying, Jen was number 9 in listings taken volume, woohoo, right? There's a nice thing that we could put out. Obviously, as an individual, you might want to do something similar for yourself or for a listing or something, for whatever you're going to do. And it's really just, what can you make with it? So first of all, my recommendation is to really play. And you're not going to get good at it unless you play with it. It's not hard, but there are a few little quirky things, right? So you just got to keep going with it. Don't let yourself get too frustrated with it. The next thing I wanted to show you is what we can do with this, right? So I showed you that we can download it. I've showed you that you can hit a share button and you can get a link and all of that. But what I wanted to show you now really, really quickly, and this is getting on, I'm not sure which page it is in your book, but this is on campaigns, right? Because it's great to be able to make things, but it's better to be able to do something with it. It's our taking action part, right? So campaigns in Command, it looks like a megaphone. Okay, so it's right there. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And trust me, I don't mean to gloss over figuring out all the little nuances of designs, but you're not going to break it. The other recommendation I have is if you've done something that you really like, hit save, which in Command means hit done, let it save, go back into it, so that, I don't know, if the power goes out, if your laptop battery dies, if whatever happens, you've got it. Because to me, that's the most frustrating thing that ever can happen. All right, when I click on campaigns, the first thing that I get is the dashboard. And you can see up here at the top, you have 5 different things. You have dashboard, paid ads, emails, direct mail, social posts. And if I look down, you can see I haven't done any on this account really in a while. But as I come down, it's going to give me some inspiration if I want to look at some different things. And at the bottom, it gives me tips and training from Keller Williams University. So if you want to look through how to do different things, you can hit see more. It'll open up another tab, and it's going to bring you to KW Connect, where you can get all sorts of additional training. So if you feel lost, or if you're waiting for this to upload and you want to watch part of it again, or if you want more information, there's always at least 30 different places to go to find information on how to get more help. But right down here at the bottom, if you're looking at campaigns, I would start right here. So I'm going to come back up to the top. The first thing that we want to think about, and someone had brought this up before when it comes to direct mail, but when you're talking about any sort of advertising, is going to be if you need to pay for it. So if you're doing an ad on Facebook, not a post, but an ad, that's something you're going to pay for. If you're doing direct mail, so you're doing postcards or some such thing, that's going to be something you pay for. Add in payment. So I'm going to show you that first. Up at the top right, you see the word payments. It's right underneath your name and your picture. When you click on payment, it's going to take a second to load. Or more than a second to load. So while, not that you need to see my credit card, but while that pops up right up there, you can also see that in the past, I'm not exactly sure how long this is going for, but I've spent more than $20 on Facebook, so it's interesting. I know it's not, a full year or something. But you can see here, you're going to start to get your cost per click and so on over all your ads here. So you can see this is very excitingly a MasterCard that I put in there that's my default. When you go to add a credit card, it really just looks like every other place you go to add a credit card. When you click add payment method, you're going to put in your name and your card and all the information about that and your billing address, and you decide which one is going to be your default. So you could have 3 different cards in here, 5 different cards, whatever it is, you just have to say which one is the default. And then you will have a report down below where you can really click on it and look at everything that you're doing. So that's just the payment portion. So you can certainly design things for paid ads and postcards. It's just not going to let you follow through until you add that payment in there. I'm going to go back to the dashboard here. What I want you to really look at, you can see here it's saying, don't think I've done an ad in the past 30 days, but you can see what you're spending, what your leads are, what your campaigns are, and what your total engagement is, okay? So this is again telling you in 30 days. I could click on this and get, let's look, year to date. So I can tell you this isn't, let's see, 12 months. This isn't accurate. I'm going to tell you that right now because I have spent more than that and I have more than those leads. So that I don't know what to tell you on. But if I come up, I have 4 different choices. I have paid ads, I have emails, I have direct mail, and I have social posts. So a lot of us are doing either paid ads or social posts. And I want you to think about it. You could do the same image for both. But anytime you're going to do an ad, you need to have 3 things. So I want you to write these 3 things down. Number 1, you need your image. What is it that someone's going to click on? What's going to grab their attention? So we talked about those things earlier in the class, the postcard for the open house that was like too much information and Tim Lindsay was going to, his head was going to explode, right? What is the image that's going to make someone interested? The second thing that you need is what is your message? What does your ad say? What are the words? What is the hook that's going to get them to click on it? And the third thing is, where does the ad go? So I want you to think, I see this great ad and it's for a Red Yeti coffee mug right here. And I click on the link and I'm expecting to see what? A Red Yeti coffee mug, right? I click on the link and it brings me to Nivea chapstick. Am I going to be happy? No. Am I going to think that whoever did this is total idiot? Yes, I am. So I want you to think about where is it that they're going to go. If you're doing an ad about what's happening in your neighborhood and if you've seen how crazy the market is and it brings them to the home page on your website, that's kind of what you're doing. So I want you to always think of those three things. What is your image? What is your message? And where do they go? When they click on that ad, where do they go? So those are the three main things. Okay, so let's just say I was going to create an ad. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose the plus sign, just like I did in designs. But I have 5 different choices. Social ad, this is going to be everywhere except for Google. Social ad, social post. Those are the 2 things I want to think about. Am I paying for it or not? Is it going to the people who already like my page, which is going to be a social post? Or am I trying to get people who I don't know, my haven't mets, and I need to pay for that, right? So those are the 2 options. I'm going to show you social post first. I click on social post. Now everything on this page, I'm going to do the work on the left and the preview is going to come on the right. Now right now it's going to one of my Facebook pages, right? So it's got the icon that's my profile picture on there and the name of it. So I'm going to type whatever it is. Can't type today, right? Happy St. Patrick's Day. Now I have a choice. I can upload a photo, video, or add a link. I can choose the photo from designs, or I can upload it from my computer. So if I just made it in designs, I could say, I just want to use that image, and I just clicked on it. Now, this one came out pretty well, but I want you to notice this section up here at the top, because sometimes when you look at this cropping window, it will come in and not look right. To show you what I mean, it would look like that, which would mean that the logo in my head would be cut off, and that would be devastating to everyone out there, I know. So I would come in and say square. Sometimes you're going to say free, which is a free transform. But I want you to watch, if I have this square, and let's just say it was a picture, a different picture, and I just wanted to crop in on part of it, I still have the opportunity to use the cropping tools. And if I did free, then I wouldn't necessarily have to do, you know, that proportional cut. But if I'm not worried about cropping, I just want to keep it exactly as it should be, I'm going to make sure to use square, and I'm going to say crop image. And now you see that that is in there. If I had more than one, I could click on the plus sign and I could grab another image. And apparently it's going to take a minute. Now in this case, I probably do want to crop it because that's a whole lot of blue around there. And so on. I can keep adding in more pictures. If I don't have the logo in there, I can add it in. I can say if I want it left and right, and I can add the ownership statement, which you'll see it does add a gradient to the bottom of your picture, and it will pop in left or right, whatever's opposite of what they're saying that your logo is. Since I already have my logo or the office logo in there, I'm not going to worry about adding it. I do want to make sure I have it, but if I've already added it, I don't need to add it a second time. So in this case, if this really truly is all I'm going to say is Happy St. Patrick's Day, I can then decide, do I want to schedule the post? So I want this to go out on the 17th, and I can choose what time. Right now it's going to go out at 10 o'clock on the 17th. Right? Or, yep.
How many scheduled posts can you plan in advance?
I don't know that there's a limit. I haven't found a limit yet. The only thing I can tell you is if it's today, usually you can't schedule it for today. You'd have to schedule it at least for one day ahead. Or I can hit publish immediately, and as soon as I hit I click on that, it changes it to publish post. If I'm on schedule post, it's going to say to schedule it. And then I can decide how many pages do I want. So in my marketing profile, I have connected two different in my applications part of settings, I have connected two different Facebook pages and a Twitter account. So I now have all three of these in here. I can preview. That's what it'll look like on Twitter. That's what it's going to look like on that one. And that's what it's not coming up, but that's what it'll look like on that page. So I can make that choice. Where do I want it to go? What is the preview going to look like? And I can either save it as draft. Maybe I'm just not sure yet that I'm ready to hit the trigger. So I'd save it as draft, or I could schedule it to automatically happen, or I could come back over and say, and then I could publish it. So in this case, I'm going to save it as draft. I already have a St. Patrick's Day post going out, so I don't want to have another. Right, so you can see here under social posts, you have all different, these are things that I've already sent out, and it's just bringing me right to that page. So a post, and this is also draft posts. Posts, I want you to think of, these go to your business pages or your Twitter page, which means people already have connected with you. They've already liked your page. That's why it's free. It's just a post. It's not going to be seen by anyone else. If we want to do an ad, ads we pay for, and we pay for them because it doesn't go to our page. If I do a paid ad, I'm not going to see it on my business page. So I'm going to come in, I have to name it. And I have to choose what my goal is. So in this case, I'm going to say other. And I have to choose, what am I going to put this on? I like to do them separately, so I'm just going to say Facebook. If I were to choose more than one, it's going to divvy up my money equally between the three or the two. And I just want to worry about one. For me, it's easier. So I'm going to say set up campaign. So what did I do? I said social ad. I named it. I picked a goal, and I picked what social media channel I'm going to use. If I need to make changes to it, then I can open up this section at the top. I can change the name. I can change the goal, and so on. The next portion is, if I was going to do a paid ad on a listing, I can choose the listing and then choose the pictures and all of that straight from there. But in this case, let's pretend we don't have a listing. So I'm going to go ahead and choose add text. So I hit configure. And I want you to notice that for all three things, main copy, headline, and description, there is a red asterisk. So you have to fill those out. On some ads, depending on your photo that you use and which channel it's going to, the description doesn't show up anywhere, but you still need to put it in. It's a required field. So if I came in and I wanted to say something fun, and I want to remember this is on Facebook, so we have emojis, so I might as well have fun with it and maybe put a house, and maybe I'm going to put a finger pointing. Just make sure you pick the right finger. And maybe I'm going to say open house this weekend. Don't miss this amazing 4-bedroom, whatever I'm going to say. But I want to make sure, and this is something that has really worked well for me and for the agents that I coach. If you notice down here, we have a button that's going to pop up in the ad, and it says learn more. And the options we have are learn more, apply now, or sign up. Trust me that you want to keep it at learn more, unless you're advertising for a job opening. So I found that if I write click here or click learn more for photos, details, and I don't know, whatever else you have in there. Okay, I'm telling people what they're going to get when they click on the ad, and I get a higher rate of people who click on it. So that's something that I would recommend. Just let them know what's going to happen when they click on it. I also would make sure, so I'm just gonna copy and paste for a second. I want you to see that if I get too much text in there, do you see how on my preview, I'm getting ... No one ever reads the ... So I would make sure that you keep this short. And again, it is Facebook. So I would think about adding silly emojis because it's blinky, shiny lights, right? We want to get people's attention. In the headline, you're going to write whatever it is. And then for your description, I like their little one that they had in here before that says, you could be coming home to this, right? Whatever it is you want to write, you're going to fill out all 3 sections, the main copy, the headline, and the description. You want to have something in here that's going to make them want to click on it. So either they're going to see the house, if it's a picture of a house, and say, oh my gosh, I want to go to that house. Or if it's something about market reports in Conway, then they're going to be like, oh, I need to know what's happening in Conway. They're going to click on it. Try to add something in here about what, what's going to make them want to go there. What's going to make them want to click on that ad. So you have to say save text, and I just have to tell you, your text cannot contain misleading content that implies personal attributes, adult or political content. Just in case you wanted, you can't do it. Okay.
Hey, Sarah, I have a quick question. If I wanted to run an ad for self-promotion, so for example, I want to put out, on Facebook and Twitter that I'm a new agent to the market, can I choose multiple targets? So for example, do I have to do it one at a time? Like if I want to go out to buyers and sellers, or can I choose both and send that ad out to, 2 targets, 3 targets at one shot?
So for the goals up at the top, this is just the algorithm for how this happens. So you could not even worry about this part. And down below, we can add in different interests. So it'll go out to everybody. If that makes sense.
Can you select more than one dot?
No. But that's really just, it has nothing to do with the interests of people. So I wouldn't worry so much about what that goal is. Okay, the next thing we need to do is pick our media. So I'm going to go ahead and click configure. And I know which one I haven't done yet because I don't have the little green circle with the checkbox in it. See how add media is blank. So I'm going to go to there. Again, just like before, I can click an image or a video. And if I click media, again, if I had a listing, I could pick it straight from KWLS, just like I did earlier with Bill's listing. If I choose an image, I can choose straight from designs, or I could upload an image. And with video, I can embed a linked video, or I could upload a video. So I'm going to go in and just choose something from designs. And I'm just going to pick this one here. And I just have to wait for it to be happy with it. Now, every once in a while, I have gotten an error message that says something like this image, oh, look, it says it was not ready to use. And I'm like, well, that's really weird because I've used it like 10 times before. So I'm going to come in and click it again, and it works. I don't know why. So I could choose to get all mad and frustrated or say, oh, let me just try it again. And it always works. So I just recommend doing that. Now I have to choose preview and crop image. So just like before, it's coming up, but see how I told you the cropping part sometimes comes in at a weird spot? Well, then I'm just going to pick square, and now it's perfect. So all I did is added it in, and then I came up here and I picked square. And now I'm going to click save image, and now you see my image is right there. So again, this one, just so you know, with the 4 is in the open house section of the social part of designs. I just added in little black squares that I made into rectangles and added information. It's really not that exciting. I've already got the logo in there. Yes, right here in white. So I don't need to add the logo. So I can hit save. The next portion that I need to do is Facebook ad. When I hit configure, it's automatically going to choose my personal Facebook account that I have attached in the back end of command. The reason is because everything in Facebook runs under your personal. So now you'll see I'm part of many people's pages. So I need to choose, well, which page do I want this to somehow link to? So I'm going to pick my North Shore Homes for Sale. So if I look up top, you now see it's sponsored by North Shore Homes for Sale. Okay. So it's always whatever you've connected in your settings, your personal account, and then you just choose which business page you want to have it linked to. The next section here is a little bit confusing. So a lot of times we are going to have a landing page that we use as that where are people going to go when they click on the ad. So people think, oh, I need to use the landing page section for here. If you want your leads to go straight into your command contacts or your command account as leads, you need to choose use the Facebook lead generation form. If you want to go into the back end of Facebook and find and download a spreadsheet that you are then going to convert to the format for command and upload it into command, then choose use a site or landing page. The choice is yours. Personally, I use the Facebook lead generation form. What happens is they're going to click on the ad, this thing will pop up on the screen that'll say, are you Sarah Herta? And this is your phone number and your email and whatever. And I say yes. And then I'm going to go to whatever site is here. So my recommendation is Facebook lead gen form. Then you have to choose again, learn more, sign up, apply now. I personally would always choose learn more. And now I need to know where is it that they're going to go. So today we didn't talk about landing pages. You could choose a landing page that you've already created, or you could choose any website, any URL. So if you have a page on your website that you want people to go to, then you're going to do that. If this is about a listing, I'm just going to go to my Keller Williams website. If this is about a listing and you have, let's see, I'm just going to, of course, I think there's pretty much nothing for sale where I live. So let's just pick one. All right. So I'm going to pick this weird looking house. It's very long. Every property that you click on your website, every listing that you click on, you get a unique URL. That means that no matter what, if someone clicks on that unique link that you copy, it will go to this page on your website. So I'm going to copy this URL that's up here at the top. And when I come back into here, I am going to paste that property link. So if someone clicks on the ad, the Facebook thing will pop up and say, are you Timothy Lindsay? And is this your phone number? And is this your email? And Tim says, yes, because I really want to know information on this house. Where is he going to go? He's going to go to that specific page.
Could you very quickly show me where you got the link again? I'm sorry, I was taking notes.
That's okay. So I went to my website, if this is a property, right? So this is my Keller Williams website. And I'm going to pick, here's the fun part. I really could go anywhere in the country, but let's do, I'll go where my office is. And I'm going to pick any property. So let's pick this one right here. It doesn't even matter. You could see this one's Coldwell Banker. I'm not even worried about that right now. But we would pretend, obviously, if I'm doing an ad, it's my listing, or at least my office's listing. This unique URL for this property that goes exactly all the information from MLS. Okay, it's just the listing on our website. I'm going to copy the whole URL at the top.
I got that. Thank you. So it's be my own personal KW website.
Yep. And the nice thing is that way they see that house. You know what? I really want to know more about that house. They click on it. They're on your website, they're on Robin's website, they're on Callie's website, they're on, you know, and it's really nice that way you're keeping them.
Can you do the same thing with rentals?
Why not? Yeah.
How do you pull rentals on the website?
So I think there's a for, yeah, right down here under for, when you click on for sale, you could say for rent and put
Thank
that
you.
on, and then you'll get rentals. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is if you were doing an advertisement that was going to be about open houses, so let's say open houses in Conway, New Hampshire. So if I came in and I said, okay, well, first of all, I want to go to Conway, New Hampshire. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I'm going to get all of the listings in Conway. I can then come in and I can say, okay, you know, I don't have pending selected. I have everything else, or maybe I don't want whatever. You pick what you want. You can choose price range. You can choose property type, but under more, if you scroll down, you could also choose open houses. Now, one thing I want you to notice is today is Monday, and how many open houses are there in Conway? By Wednesday or Thursday, there might be some, right? But it's Monday. So I
Now,
just want you to
does
keep
this,
that in mind.
if you do the open house, does this put in the time and the address of the open house on?
Yep.
Well, how does that make it my lead then?
Here's what's happening. Well, it wouldn't in that case. This URL at the top is a URL for this search on your website. Okay, so no matter what, so Bill can put on 25 houses this week and he can have 15 of them as open. Did you like that? That's good vibes going your way, Bill. So out of those 15, as soon as they start coming in, they're going to filter right in as open houses and show up on this URL, because this URL is technically searching on my website, searching New Hampshire, Conway has, I didn't know I put parking in there, but has open house. Okay, so as soon as an open house comes in, that would trigger. So you could play with the things on your website to get what you wanted in there. But if we come back to campaigns, whatever your URL is that you're going to put in there, you can. And then we get to the fun part. I know you thought this was all fun, and you know, you're going to say, Tim, Aaron, I don't know who that girl is, but tell her to stay in Andover. Okay, so right here, you've got ad targeting. And you're going to see that right now the default is, because I am an agent in Andover, and this is not a property-based listing. If I had a listing in Conway, this would be, and I put that listing as this ad, this would say Conway, New Hampshire. I need to say use custom settings. And when I do that, couple things, you're probably never going to use the target my database. If you do that, you need to create a list, and the list has to have at least 100 people on it. And it's kind of, I don't know, it takes a while. So we're going to do target a custom audience, which is the default. I can change where I want this to be if I don't want it to be the default. And I can change the radius. So this is where we get into the geographic farming. I want this ad to go out on Facebook to people who live and anywhere from 15 to 50 miles. I can choose my radius. So I could say I want it to be 34-mile radius around Andover, Massachusetts. Or I could go up to 50, or I could go down to 15. So that's your geographic part. So anyone on Facebook who has obviously their address in there, because you have to fill that out, and I believe when you sign up, it's going to put that in there, right? They're going to be potentially people who see this ad. If you want, you can also add interests. When you add interests, my recommendation is that you keep it to where it says or and not and, right? So you're not saying they have to live in Andover and be an accounting and have an interest in acting and agriculture, because then you would bring that down, right? You're totally narrowing your ad population. So some things that you could do, you could scroll through and you could say, oh, you know what? Wait, I saw something about an apartment. Oh yeah, I want people who like apartments or have an interest in apartments because they might want to buy. Or I could just,
Can you repeat the part about the and the or, please?
I'm going to show you that once we pick the interests.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. So I'm going to start adding in some interests. I like to just type them in. I can tell you that first-time home buyers, if I type in the word first, then it starts to come in for me. I'm okay with people who had the first-time home buying grant. If I want to type in mortgage, you can see what comes up, right? Well, I don't necessarily want mortgage brokers, but I'll take, sure, any of the other ones, or maybe I want to put loan. Why not? That sounds good. Maybe I want people who like architecture. Why not? Right. And I can go through now some ones that are kind of sneaky. If I do realtor.com, I don't want the pro because that's going to be other realtors, but I want just realtor.com. And I can do Zillow. And again, I'm not going to do the pro or premier. I'm just going to do regular Zillow. And I could do Trulia. And I mean, I could go through and just pick all different interests, right? I've got 23 so far. I probably would, you know, why not? You can keep picking more. And they used to have the and or button right here and it's gone. So now it's just adding everybody. You're just adding interest. So I could again come in and click more, but I guess the and button disappeared. You can also click to narrow your audience and then you could take things out. So narrow your audience would be adding in the and. That's a little bit confusing. That's changed in the past week and a half. So when I have all the interests that I want, I'm going to hit save. But I can always go back and look and I can see that this is going to target anyone who lives in Andover who uses Facebook, who likes or has an interest in any of those 23 interests that I put in there. We have run the same ad. We've done A/B tests, or what we're calling it, where we're running the same exact ad. One, we added no interests whatsoever. We kept everything the same and then we added in interest and we got a lot better engagement when we added in the interest. So I have to say it's worth doing it. Okay, lead settings. So if this is kind of new, what do you want to have happen to leads that come from this campaign? I find this really stinking exciting. I have to tell you, because this has been something that personally I have been waiting for. So do I want to automatically add a tag that I already have in here? I mean, how amazing is it that now not only am I going to get a lead, but I can automatically assign a tag. And I can automatically assign them a smart plan. Like, this is so exciting. I feel like we've been waiting for this forever. And it is like, because here's the deal. What have we been saying at the beginning of this thing? Everyone who spoke up said we need to get back to people as soon as possible. We need to get back to people right away. We need to make sure that we respond. Well, now, not only can we tag them automatically, but we can also assign a smart plan. So whether I make my tag generic that just is Facebook ad, or if I have specific Facebook ad that I'm targeting, or maybe I do one tag that's Facebook ad and one tag that's, you know, something about Andover. So I don't, let's see. All right, maybe I'll call it Facebook lead because I have that one in there. And maybe I'm going to call this, oops, Andover. So now it's going to add 2 tags to everybody who has come into, who has clicked on this ad. Now, these are obviously tags that I have already created.
And it looks like you can create a tag just in that moment too.
Yeah. So if I were to type in Ignite, right? I don't have a tag called Ignite. So I need to hit create a new tag. It's already got the word Ignite, and then I can choose the color that I want it to be. So now I've got 3 tags. So everyone who responds to this ad now gets tagged. And to me, I'm just so excited. So I have a smart plan that I love to use called the 555 plan. It is, it's really a quarterly call plan, but every month it's something different. I might add them to that. I might say, okay, well, for this one, Maybe not. Maybe I'm gonna add them to my buyer. I have a buyer plan. Sarah's buyer consult plan. Whatever your smart plan is that you're gonna add them to, maybe you have a specific Facebook ad smart plan. Maybe the first part is a text message, you know, thank you for clicking on whatever. Maybe you ask a question, because remember, it's not about, it's kind of like the whole thing on Facebook. If you like something, or if you actually engage and write a comment or ask a question, we want to get engagement. Maybe you send a text and maybe you have a task that comes in to call them, or, you know, that's great, but what if they didn't include their phone number? Maybe you can't call them. So then you have to say, oh, I can't call Robin, I'm gonna email her. You know, whatever it is, you've got to have a backup plan in your head, but you've got that right there. And this is new and it's really super exciting. I don't know about you. I am just thrilled because now, again, that automated thing. And if I create my smart plans where I'm adding people's names by using the contact merge field for first name, then every person, it could say, hi, Trevor. It would say, hi, Kelly. Hi, Carrie, whoever it is. So they're going to feel like it's not an automated thing, even though it is. Okay. Then below I have duration and budget. So number one, if I do a campaign today, I cannot start it today. It's going to say date should be greater than today. So keep this in mind if you are doing an ad around an open house. You need to give yourself time. Okay. How long do I want it to go for? So the default is 10 days. You can choose whatever you want. It's the minimum is $1 a day. So even if you just did one day, you could spend a minimum of $1. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it at 10 days. And then campaign budget, they start you off with $30. You could come in here and change it, but I wanna show you, if I said 10 days and I wanna pay $9, when I hit that, it's going to give me a nope. Say I like it up top, they say, we recommend 10-day campaign with a budget of $1, but it really, they're not telling you it has to be $1. Okay, I'm going to come in and I'll say $10 and then I can save it, and that's great. So I didn't hit save, so it wasn't green. So now I can look, I have all green little check marks. I've done all the things that I need to do. And then I can come back and I can look at my preview and I could say, is this exactly what I want? And then I, again, have a choice. So I can look at what it would look like on a mobile phone. It really doesn't look any different. It's a little bit tighter, but it still looks fine. Am I ready to pay for this and have this go? Or am I going to say, you know what? I've got to get this phone call. Let me just save it as a draft so that I can come back to it later. Because a lot of times we are realtors. A lot of times we get interrupted. And the worst thing ever is when you don't save it. Because then you're like, oh my gosh, I need to write that again. Right, so it'll come in as a draft. So you could see like this one, I usually run them on a different account, but even this one here, I got 18 leads in 10 days. I mean, is that fantastic? It's all right, it's not fantastic. I got 18 leads in 10 days. They all came straight into command. I can click on it and open it, and it'll open up exactly who those leads are. So that's all nice. You know, I can click on them and get all their information, but these are all people who came in straight from that ad. So that's pretty snazzy. But now the fact that I can automatically put them on a plan and I can tag them, I'm just thrilled because that's something that we've been waiting for. Okay, I am going to put in the chat just a few resources. I have to find where my chat window went. It disappeared here. Okay. Let's see.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So when you have your personal Facebook page, in order to, advertise this open houses, you have to make another business page, right?
Yeah. So technically it's against the terms of service for Facebook to do business on your personal account. If you actually read through the terms of service, I can tell you, I've known people who get kind of booted into what we jokingly call Facebook jail, and they can't post anything for however long. And I don't remember if it was 30 days or what it was. So here's my recommendation. You just go through and you can look through Facebook's help menu. It's fairly self-explanatory, but you're going to create a Facebook business page. You're going to decide if you want to make it as like a public figure because you're a realtor, or if you're going to do it as a service. You could choose how you're going to do that. But it's pretty self-explanatory to set it up. You just, there's only so many options that you have. The hardest part is just like on your Facebook personal page, you have to click or create a cover image and a profile image as well. And then it's always tied to your personal. You can't log in and go directly to your business page. You're always going to log into Facebook on your personal page, and then you can click over. And Lori Jo said that she apparently was in Facebook jail. So you could tell. Do you mind just commenting on that?
Well, I don't really know what I did. That's the biggest problem with Facebook. They don't tell you exactly what you did. They just send you these really scary notices. Like if you do it again, we're going to delete you. So I stopped using Facebook for like 3 weeks.
Oh.
Yep.
I just went cold turkey and stopped. And then slowly but surely, I just did some very simple videos, personalized videos that I did put on my personal page. But there's something with the transfer from what you do on your business page, when you share it to your personal page, they're very strict.
Yeah.
So I really still don't know if you can advertise like an open house or a new listing on your business page and then shift it to your personal page. Like, I don't know what happens then, because I did have a rental and I did that, and I think it may have flagged them.
Yeah, Sarah. And,
If anybody else knows, I'd be
to
very
Lori Jo's
interested
point,
to hear some feedback.
yeah, I think for sure, to Lori Jo's point, I think if you built, and everyone should have a business page, because Zuckerberg does not want you doing anything business related on your personal page. And they're just, they have so much money and so many employees, they have the time to find all the errors. So be aware of that. And if Mark's listening, good morning. We appreciate you, sort of. Anyway, that being said, if you have a business page set up, lean into that.
Yeah.
Lori Jo probably got arrested because she was sharing stuff to her personal page, and she's wicked smart for doing that. What we need to understand with the algorithm is, even though everyone in her life could have said, yes, I've been invited to go like her business page, I'm going to do that, everyone in your life still doesn't see what you just posted. And they built that algorithm to force you guys to do, leads through Facebook. And that's why Gary went to Zuckerberg and said, I've got 180,000 friends with me. We'd like a better algorithm. So that's why you're best off to be going through the paid ads through command in order to get your word out. The other two powerful words we should be adding to everything we do on Facebook on our business pages, write this down, please share. Please share. Massive, like people just will do, they'll be like, oh, Lori Jo said, please share. I shall do that. If we don't do that, they're going to read it. The call to action of please share, or who do you know, but ultimately the two words please share are massively important. The other side of that too is when we are advertising on Facebook, making sure that if you are making use of, how many people raise your paw if you have a virtual assistant? If your virtual assistant is not in New England, and he or she may be, because Cyberbacker, My Outdesk, and even our friends from my VA team, which is up in Canada, all three of those companies employ brilliant personnel from the Philippines. So if your VA is in Manila, they're going to see the IP address and they think you got hacked. That's another major reason people are going to Facebook jail. So just if you are, so I don't know, Lori Jo doesn't seem to be nodding, so I don't think she has a VA in the Philippines, although I can tell you, you will run into that. And we're not saying don't use any of those companies. They're brilliant companies. They're going to save you time and money because those people get our stuff better than Herta does, right? And Herta gets the stuff pretty well. Does everybody agree? Golf clap for Herta today? Yeah, excellent. So that being said, if you've got a VA overseas and they see stuff going on at 4 a.m. when you should be asleep on the East Coast, they're going to think you got hacked. They're going to think the Russians got you. So be aware of that.
Okay, so Timothy, I get a quick question. So I had an open house and I did a you know, in campaigns, I did my open house flyer and I posted it on my personal page. That's a big no-no, huh?
Yeah, all I can tell you, well, I mean, clearly, because Mark Zuckerberg's not here to speak for himself, and I think his batteries might be low because it's a Monday morning, so I don't think he'd be able to. I don't think anybody on this page really understands what his next coherent thought is. So I can't say with absolute confidence that that's the case. I can tell you that the probability that you put anything business related on your personal page is just a no-no at this point, which seems counterintuitive. I don't want to build a business page. Zuckerberg doesn't care how you feel. Real estate doesn't care how you feel. If you don't feel like building a business page, they are looking for people at Chick-fil-A and Kohl's. We need to build business pages. We are business people.
So I
This
do
is
have.
we're not selling oils on doTERRA. No, I'm not picking on you, Laura. I'm just making a general statement to the populace that this is a business page and we should be utilizing it for that. So sharing anything to your personal page, she's got a doTERRA oils. There it is, Herta. Good for you. Sharing anything on your personal page is I would just assume, well, I've only done it once. If you've done it once, they're probably waiting for you to do it again. So
Well, here's the thing too. I think you also have to look at it's kind of the same thing with everything you do. If you post everything that you put on your business page on your personal page and you're constantly sharing it, you're constantly sharing it, then you're not only going to flag Facebook, but you might be annoying to your friends. They're going to be like, that's great. I'm so glad that Tim's in real estate.
Yeah, it's a whole other great conversation that Herta brings up is the
Let's not lose our humanity through this. And
yeah,
I like
we talk about
comparison.
Pareto's law all the time, right? Pareto's law is the 80-20 rule. And when it comes to your business page, we want to flip that on its head. On my business page, this sounds counterintuitive, so make sure you hear me loud and clear. On your business page, you should be running 80-20. 80%, I'm still a human, 20% business. And what I mean by that is if I have a link with Sarah Herta as a human and our personal pages are connected on Facebook, and I've also liked her business page, I can tell you first of all, I will not see everything she posts on her business page because of the algorithm and Zuckerberg wanting her to spend money on ads. The other thing, as a human, when I see either Herta's private page or personal page and her business page coming down my feed, as I see that coming, I want to make sure that I'm sending out, if I'm Herta, I want to make sure I'm putting out content that every time Lindsay sees me coming, he's like, oh, cool, more value. Not like, oh, crap, here comes Herta pounding her chest again. She closed 3, signed 4. Like, think about your dentist. Your dentist isn't raving about fillings and root canals. Like, we don't hear it from them. We are the only industry where we pound our chest on Facebook and we think that everybody cares. Nobody cares, right? Unless we make it about them. So how can you make your post on your business page a value add? How can you make it coming up in the next week or so? If you have an open house, because everybody's rules are changing, say you have an open house anywhere on planet Earth this weekend, especially in New England, what if you did a mocktail, right? And if you had a mocktail at your open house and you talk about here's a great recipe for the mocktail I had at my open house. The only reference point I made to real estate was my open house, right? But it's on my business page. And then blah, blah, blah. Enjoy this with your families. And if you want to add a little thrill to it, here's the missing ingredient, right? But all I referenced was my mocktail that I served at my open house. I didn't drill down 123 Main Street. It's beautiful. You better hurry up. It's going to go quick. We got multiple offers. Like, I already want to eat my face and jump out of a first floor window. And I'm going to hide you. Don't forget that. You asked them to like your business page. And back in 1932, they did. And you've been an awful human being ever since. And now they've hidden you. So I can like your page and then hide it from view. Don't forget that. Nobody's seeing my stuff because it's always all about you. We need to make it all about them. It's got to be about the person on the other end of the computer, the end user experience. Is it valuable? Go ahead, Lori Jo.
Can I just take what you said, which is very interesting, but you were talking about the business page. What if on my personal page, I did a cooking video, which I do all the time, and I just sneak in a little bit about, oh, Keller Williams this, or come see my apartment this weekend, or my listing. Can you do that? Or is that where I got caught?
I will hold your beer, Lori Jo. You give it a shot and give us your results. You know, I mean, yeah, if you're whipping up Ratatouille and then suddenly you're back in jail because you said Gary Keller, like, I don't know. I don't know. Again, Zuckerberg, he's a bored human being looking for new rules to make our lives miserable. I probably,
No.
after saying that, because we're being streamed to Facebook, I won't be here tomorrow. So have a great week, everybody. I just don't overthink it. But I'm telling you right now, when it's business related, when you know the end game is to create interest around my real estate business, I'm going to put that on my business page.
Did you guys watch The Social Network? You've got all those little people looking at everything that's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you take something that you've posted onto your business page and make it shareable? And at that point, you or any of your friends may share that to their personal page. Will that get you in jail? Because that's a, I don't know, little way to wiggle around it.
Well, and because I just told you to use the hashtag please share. So I trust that they're just seeing if you're a heavy abuser on your personal page, if you're using them as well, I'll get my message out twice by doing this. I think that's where we're running into trouble. That's where we're
More like if it's less an occasional item, not a constant.
Yeah, because in the grand scheme of things, there's 80 trillion people on Facebook because it's an open platform and it's free. So Zuckerberg is thinking to himself, well, how am I monetizing this for myself? So he's got to make it difficult to make all these barriers of entry. So we are inclined to be like, I'm dying to put my credit card in and give this kid money to run my ad for my open house in Belmont. Like that's the end game. That's really what we're up against. So it's going to be trial and error. It's just, I can tell you, we've had agents up here, and the last two I've spoken to, one was just a heavy user and posting a lot of stuff on her business page. And the other one definitely knows she got clipped because she was having her marketing done by somebody overseas. So just
what if I had an example? What if, say, my business page, I had one or two friends that really had an interest in those items and they wanted to share it on their personal page to get the word out to friends that I might not have connected to me personally on my business page. And it wouldn't be from my personal page. It'd be
your
theirs.
business page. Yeah.
They'd be taking it from mine to their personal page.
That would be fine because it's separate. It's separated. So if it would just be like if you liked whatever on Amazon and you shared it on your page, on your personal page, it would be the same type of a thing then.
Okay.
I can tell you the one I know who got put in Facebook jail the most often. It was like every open house, every just sold, every just listed, but everything was on her personal page and she got completely over and over again just put in Facebook jail.
Let me say this concerning that. Gary would be so proud if everyone on this call got put in Facebook jail. If you had that much business and you were talking about your business that much, Gary would be like, I would love for Zuckerberg to call Gary and be like, your kids are breaking the system.
I mean, I've
Gary
done things
would be
where I listed a property and I'm outside by this beautiful pool. It's the middle of summer. I know today we can't think about this because it's just too cold. Took a picture of the pool, posted it on, said, you know, something silly like, do you think anyone would notice if I hopped in the pool before the broker's open house? You know, and I put that out there and I can tell you I got more engagement than anything else. I didn't, first of all, put where it was.
Right.
I didn't put where, whatever. It was just kind of funny. Or even, you know, I don't know, just something along those lines. It's funny. It's like, I think the neighbors would notice if I slip in the pool.
With a wink, wink, nudge, nudge reminder that you're still in real estate, right?
Exactly.
Because there's some people in the room right now that are thinking, oh, all of my friends know. I don't need to be coy. I don't need to sort of tell them I'm still in real estate. We just went through, and we're still in the ends of a pandemic, as Gary said, which is now an endemic. It's not going away. You're going to get your COVID shot every 12 months. Welcome, right? And there's a lot of brokers that knew that you were in real estate 12 months ago. They're not sure where you are right now. Do they know? And a lot of growing agents that just got started. Most of your people don't even know you're in yet. Never mind if you're a couple years in, they're wondering if you're still in after everything we just went through. Because we are one of the few industries that thrived in this pandemic, right? A lot of employment for a lot of different industries went sideways.
Well, I can tell you, but the first four personal transactions I had were all before I got into real estate, and we never used the same realtor again. Why? Well, first of all, either I didn't like them or I didn't know, well, I haven't heard from them in 6 years. Whatever, I'm going to go with Joe Schmo because he's fun. So I'm like a prime example of why you really do need to keep in touch. Because then people are like, what? No, I didn't know if you were still in real estate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the realtor that sold our house never kept in touch, ever.
That's very common. I hate to say it.
Well, she was
All right.
probably going to private message you, but she was in Facebook jail. So who knows? There's still time.
Well, to finish up today's session, so you guys got a good overview with designs and how to be able to create things. You got a good overview in campaigns to make a social post and a paid ad. Okay, so we've kind of gone over some of our ahas, but if there's anything else that anyone wants to bring up, just let me know. Or not. Okay, so just going in, just like every other week, ahas to achievement. When you go in, how has your thinking changed? And I would look at this really about, I know a lot of agents are afraid to just do it. When you're in designs, you're not going to break it. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to work on a design and somehow you're going to mess it up and you're going to have to start over, which actually is probably not a bad thing because then you're practicing how to use it. Right? So does anyone have anything that changed? Their thinking changed or their mindset changed?
Making sure I don't get in Facebook jail, that's for certain. And finding ways to circumvent the system.
Yep.
For me, I'm just excited to get going on my ads. To get going in campaigns, honestly. I've been dragging my feet. I need to get my button gear here and get some business going.
Absolutely.
For me.
Hey, Sarah,
Yep.
when you're designing a flyer or postcard to go out, let's say open house or whatever it is, how far in advance are you working on that to make sure it hits the mail in time?
I want to give it at least a week, no matter what. If I'm going to do posted, like postal mail, I'm going to give it at least a week.
So that's enough time to go to the printer and then to the post office too?
Well, it depends. So the places that I use personally, they're going to print it and mail it for me.
Oh, okay.
But if you're going to have it printed and shipped to you, and then you're going to either write or stick labels on and then bring it to the post office to go out, I would give it more time. I found, at least for where I live, which I kind of live in the woods, so it really could just be where I live, mail's a problem. I don't know, ever since November, mail is just taking a very long time.
Thanks.
It really could just be my town. I would not be surprised.
All right, I just got a question for you. I don't know if you talked about this, maybe I missed it, but when you list in another agent's listing for, for a campaign, say to just get with another agent and ask them, I'm assuming it would be proper once you get all listed up to run it by them before you post it. Am I correct in thinking that?
So every office is going to have their own policies on it, and every agent will as well. So I always tell agents that I coach that, first of all, they should be prepared for any response, because if Tim is the listing agent, it's really like he's the one who's taken the pictures, paid for the pictures, et cetera, et cetera. He's the one who's actually representing the property. So if I were to call him up and say, hey, I'm trying to build my business, and I was wondering, either I'd love to do an ad on your new listing, or maybe I'm doing an ad about whatever. Would you be okay? Would it be all right with you if I were to use this? And he has every right to say yes or no. And if he says no, I can't be upset about it because he's the one who paid for all of this, right? So if I'm going to use his images, personally, I have to get him to approve that. But then the next thing would be, if he says, and again, every listing agent's going to be different. Yes, you can use it, but you can't change. If you're going to put in the description of the house, you can't change it at all. Why? Because again, he's the one representing the property. So you don't want him and be like, is this agent writing? So if you're going to add in something like this, if you're doing something, then again, every office is going to have a different policy. But if you were going to take, say it was Nashua, New Hampshire, and you were going to take, the newest 12 homes to the market because that's what fits on your card or whatever it is that you're doing, and you're just putting it doesn't even matter what company it is, you're probably okay. Although each of those agents bought those photos. So you just want to always keep that in mind.
Okay, I guess that's what I was trying to get to. I wasn't sure about if I'm using their own images, yeah, then I guess you wouldn't have to change anything. I mean, if you're not changing anything and you're using their own images, that would make sense. Versus if you're trying to add some other stuff to it, it would make sense to actually ask them, run it by them and make sure that's okay with them before you actually post it or list it.
Or I would leave it generic, like homes for sale in Nashua, see what's happened in the last 2 weeks in this town, whatever it is, and keep it open. Tim, what's your comment on that?
What was that? Bring me
If you-
back. I was just answering a text. I apologize.
That's okay. If you were gonna run an ad based on either someone else's listing, I was saying definitely ask permission since they paid most likely for the photography, or if you're doing something that's all new homes for sale in Portsmouth, maybe you could do something along those lines, but it's either your own photos or using something generic might be the easiest way to not get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I think
yeah.
if I'm a growing agent and I'm looking for homes to talk about because I don't yet have my own current inventory, I think most agents would be thrilled to have you talk about their inventory. We just do want to gain their permission. And I think the easiest thing to do to just keep it under our tent is to talk to agents within your market center. Unless you're geographically farming a neighborhood, then gaining permission from agents at other brokerages isn't, it might not go as well as it would go under our tent. At the same time, we probably have enough inventory in the neighborhood that you want to attack with listings from KW in the first place. And just to Sarah's point, we don't own that media, so using those pictures for our use for marketing's sake, we'd want to gain permission from that listing agent. And I've never had a growing agent in our market center reach out to one of our listing agents and say, "Hey, can I help you get this sold?" It's never met with a problem, because what are we looking for? We're looking to get it sold as fast as we can, which today is like down to minutes, right? And for the best opportunity, we have to start to really, and we're starting to see that we've sown the seeds of highest and best. And I've been trying to educate against that for years. I think HGTV has gotten our heads this highest and best thing. We want to get things sold, in their time frame, because fastest isn't always best for them. And highest and best is usually used all the time on HGTV, and it's correlating that best is equal to the highest amount, which right now, I don't know where you guys all live, 30, 40, 50 over ask, threw in your newborn child. Nobody cares anymore. Like, the money's almost insurmountable at this point. We really want to go back and have that conversation with the seller. And I know I'm going down a little bit of a wormhole here, but just when we're having that conversation about getting things sold, the highest and cleanest, right? Because we're seeing now that concessions do not want to be read. You could have the best financial offer in the world, and if you're asking for almost anything at this point, because now we're seeing lenders that are coming back and saying, well, we can waive the appraisal because they don't want to lose the deal. So we're seeing appraisals get waived sometimes. So we want to just be really careful about using that language with our civilian friends, highest and best, and start to teach them highest and cleanest. Yeah. To let them really ask, oh, I've only ever heard highest and best. What does highest and cleanest mean? I'm glad you asked, Mr. Lindsay. It means we don't want a list of 38 things we'd like them to do along with accepting our money, right? So highest and cleanest is really important.
Okay, thank you.
You.
So who's putting their house on the market?
That's a good question. I like that one.
It really is a good time to sell. I don't know where you're going to go, but it's a good time to sell.
Well, I think two super simple, and I've been saying this since COVID started. I think two super simple questions to ask that are really short form that will create engagement. And remember, when people start to engage on this, we've got to answer them back, right? There's having an online presence and there's being present online. I can't ask you a question and ghost you. But if I walk up to you in the hallway at the market center, I'm like, "Hey, Kelly O'Neill, how are you?" And you start to tell me about your weekend, and I just stage right on you. You're like, "Oh, he's a jackass." Well, yes, I am. And I also walked out on the conversation. So don't start a conversation on social media and then jet on it, right? So super simple questions to ask. Do you currently live in your dream home? That's it. On any social medium, just put today. Do you currently live in your dream home? What do you think 99% of the humans are going to say?
No.
No. right? And if they reply no, if somebody says yes, I want to ask that question too.
Can I see
Herta.
it?
Yeah, awesome, Herta. What's awesome about the house that you're in? You know, and for the 99% that say no, cool. What does it look like? What does your dream house look like? We're starting that conversation, getting them thinking, and allowing ourselves to remind everybody in our life, because we have to tell them 7 times that we're in real estate before they forget. The other one I'd ask that would be super safe right now, because I'd go a year out, because we can always walk them back on motivation. Is anyone planning on moving in 2022? Because if I come on to social media on a Monday morning, like, hey, who's moving tomorrow? You know, like nobody's going to answer that question, right? Nobody wants to be friends with me at that point. Are you thinking about moving in 2022? Because if they put their paw up right now, the average American is having the seminal thought about putting the sign in their yards, typically 7 to 8 months prior to putting the sign in their yard. And if we're the 3rd month of the year, that'd be the fall. And nobody's listening to the fall. Right? Who lists in the fall? I can tell you listen to the fall. The Lakes region up here in New Hampshire. Second home markets like Bill Barbin, minus 32 degrees, no hat on. He's a man, right? You're not outside, are you, Bill? That's a backdrop, right? Right. So in the grand scheme of things, asking that super simple question, are you thinking about moving in 2022? And if people start to answer, awesome, Sarah, what's important about you guys waiting for 2022? Well, we just want to see what the market settles down, right? And then we can explain to them all the reasons that yesterday's a better time than 2022.
Well, yeah, because then when you say to them, when you look back and say, wow, you mean I could have gotten $50,000 more for my house if I sold it, you know.
Yeah. And maybe next year is important because their last bird's about to leave the nest and go away to college, but they've still got a kid in the school system. Maybe that is the case. Yet you're the first person to ask. There's a great maps coach. His name is Steve Schlueter, and he tells a story about he's driving along, probably going to a bold class, and this woman calls, and it's an unidentified number, and it's this woman he was in a training with in Texas like years ago. And she's like, hey, Steve, it's Barbara. How are you? And he's like, good. And she's like, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. And he's like, I appreciate that, Barbara. My birthday is next month. She goes, oh, I know. I just wanted to be first. You want to be there first?
Yes.
Would it be okay if you have a conversation about listing their home in 8 months? Say yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Let's get there first. You know, we have this preconceived notion. Oh, no, when my friends are going to list, they don't know I'm in real estate, but they're going to Karnak it and they're going to call me. If you don't know who Karnak is, it's, yeah. Anyway, 3 people.
Well, here's my thing. I just want to leave as a final thought. So for me, playing in designs and making campaigns and making the magazine and making this and making that, I love it. And I could do it all day. Yes, I went to art school. I designed product for 20 years. This is what I love to do. I could do this all day long. But guess what? That's the blinky, shiny object that's going to distract me from making money. So what I want you guys to do is when you look here and you look at the how will your behaviors be different going forward, what actions are you going to take, what tools, models, and systems, I really want you to think about the fact that you can't use this as an excuse not to talk to people. You still have to talk to people. Your lead generation has to come first. And after you're done with your lead gen, I love it when Gary Keller would say, I would do my lead gen in the morning and then I could golf all afternoon because I work for the day.
Yeah.
And I still want you to do this where you're still doing your lead gen, you're still doing your activity, because at the end of the day, we want you to get business and your marketing is going to enhance your business. So wait until after you're done with your lead gen for the day and then play with command and play with designs and do all of your fun, exciting stuff. Just don't let it be that thing. Oh, well, you know, I didn't do any lead generation for the past 6 weeks because I was playing in designs. Don't let that happen. It happens so often. And I just sit there going, oh no, don't do that. But my website, I'm like, no.
Sarah, I just want to chime in on that if you don't mind. What happens with me is I do lead gen for like a couple of days. When I get some contacts, I get busy with those contacts, like 3 or 4 contacts, and I focus really so much on them that I wanted the listing appointments. And I forget that in the past 3 days when I'm getting with the listing presentation and trying to get an appointment with them, that I haven't done lead generation within those 3-4 days. So I don't know how to overcome that.
What if you were to say that no matter what, between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, well, pretending that you're done with Ignite, between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock is your lead gen, and you can't even do any of the other things until then. And maybe from 1 to 2 is your time to do listing presentation or website or whatever, just time block it.
Okay.
So when you look at your calendar, you're like, oh, yes, now's my time to do it. What am I doing today? Am I doing the buyer consult, the listing presentation? Am I doing business cards, my email signature? Am I doing working on my website? What are the things that I'm doing? What's my next thing? Now's my time to do it. What am I doing today?
Oh, yeah. To Sarah's point, think about what we discussed. Prospecting is active, marketing is passive, right? So let's when we have energy and air in our sales in the morning, let's do our active prospecting. And then if you have no appointments after lunch, then you can start to dive into your marketing. And to Sarah's other point, your business cards are never going to be perfect. Your website's never going to be done. And none of it's necessary if there's no humans that will ever enjoy it, right? If you're building the perfect Disney and nobody comes to get on the rides because they didn't know you were building it because you didn't tell anybody, right?
Callie, we're only saying this because we've all done it. So.
Oh yeah, everybody's done this. Yeah. We've
Focus
got
on your
agents.
20% big rocks.
Yes, we've got agents that have been in the industry for 30 years. Guess what? They're still working on their website. Still not done. Still not perfect. Never going to be. Your website is a dynamic entity. It's always going to be in motion.
And I want you to know Gary Keller doesn't even carry business cards. If someone asks him for one and it's not a Keller Williams agent, he will usually say, oh yeah, I had to get more. They're still at the printers. Why don't you give me yours?
I'm all out. Would you like my app, the business card you'll never lose?
Right.
Yep.
I love.
And if he does a bad mood, he's just like, don't you know who I am? No, he's never said that. I'm just kidding.
Could you imagine?
Gary Keller.
I have to ask a question for our KW website. We can actually design that and move things around and right?
To a point, yeah.
Okay. Where do I go in to do that? Like, how do I?
So you actually go when you're in command, it's the bottom icon. It's called consumer.
Okay.
And once you're there, I would say you want to watch a class on it. It's not hard, but it's one of those where you're going to say, wait, where do I click? Where do I click? So I would watch one of the classes on it.
Okay.
Well, guys, I have to run. It was such a pleasure to speak with all of you and to see some familiar faces. And, I really wish you the best. Designs are really fun. Marketing is great. Just remember, like Tim said, nobody even knows you're doing it until you talk about it. So don't spend all your time doing it.
Sarah, thank you so much for today. Such a great wealth of information. You know, thank God you know what you're talking about, because I think that, there's a whole bunch of it that's just like, oh, cool. I didn't know it did that, because we don't spend enough time in the space. So thank you for teaching us more about marketing. Tomorrow we've got open houses. Darren Geddick from Greater Hartford and Gary Sobel will be here for that. So we'll see you tomorrow. We'll open the room around 8:55. If you guys have questions, comments, or concerns, we can talk about those. We also want to hear about your 10-4s first thing in the morning too. And if you need anything from me, my number is 603-834-2856 or tlindsey, TLINDSEY @kw.com. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Have a great
Thank
day,
you, Tim.
everybody. Take care.
Bye, guys.